Chapter 1891. Ever since Gu Juicy shamelessly fawned over Tangwa that day, he would come to Tangwa's house whenever he had nothing to do. At first, he even implicitly asked her what she wanted to eat for lunch. But now, he already said, "Miss Guo, I've already asked Lin Yin to go to the city to buy ingredients. Then, I'll ask him to clean up. You can also tell him how to add the condiments later. If he can help you with anything, don't hesitate to ask." Gu Juicy waved a fan and sat at the side. "In short, I feel a little bad about eating Miss Guo's food. So, if there's any rough work, heavy work, or tiring work, just ask Lin Yin to do it." Lin Yin, who was rushing to the city to buy ingredients, worked hard all his life for who in the end? His master was really too shameless. Sumachin never stepped into Tangwa's house again. Tang Bai heaved a sigh of relief in her heart. At the same time, she seemed to understand that Gu Juicy's identity was probably not ordinary, and her elder sister probably also found out. So, that day, her elder sister asked her to call the 9th young master to suppress Sumachin. Then, did her elder sister find out that there was something wrong with Sumachin? Sumachin said to others that he was a businessman. But what kind of businessman would stay in the family Tang village for almost a year and not leave? If he was a businessman, he would have left long ago. Tang Bai glanced at Gu Juicy, who was waving a folding fan and sitting at the side with a smile on her face. She kept praising her elder sister's embroidery. Her words were nice, but this person was really too shameless. 9th young master, Miss Guo, what's the matter? Gu Juicy was willing to sit here and watch her work. In fact, Tangwa was not very busy now. In order to maintain her current reputation, she would still embroider an embroidered handkerchief every month. Gu Juicy would send people to send this treasure to various places to spread Tangwa's reputation. Now, Tangwa's reputation was basically known in the world. It was said that she used a different embroidery method for every embroidered handkerchief. Many people were waiting to be able to buy her embroidered handkerchiefs and study the embroidery method on them. As for the Tang embroidery manor, it had been expanded several times. Even so, the embroidery shop was still very busy. Countless orders came in from all directions. In order to avoid the proliferation of such embroidered handkerchiefs, Tangwa limited the order to the embroidery shop, and only a few finished products could be embroidered each year. If he came late, it would be gone. Before this, she and Tang Bai were already drawing the style of the dress. The Tang family's embroidery shop had finally started to make a move on the ready-made clothes. Countless merchants were waiting here. 9th young master, I'll need garlic to cook later. Gu Juicy was stunned. Garlic? He knew about garlic, so he asked, is it not enough? The butler and Lin Yin have gone to the city. Do you want me to buy it? When Tang Bai heard this, she burst into laughter. 9th young master, do you still remember your noble status? She actually wanted to run errands for her older sister and personally go to the city to buy garlic. If word of this got out, all the people in their family Tang village would die of laughter. I have a lot of garlic at home. You don't need to buy this thing. My father planted a lot of them before and planned to hang them outside. Tangwa pointed outside the window. Gu Juicy followed her gaze and saw a row of garlic hanging outside. He did not understand. What did Miss Guo want him to do? 9th young master, I'm very busy here. Tangwa pursed her lips and said with a smile. Gu Juicy understood. So she wanted him to help? Then what can I do? Hurry up and wear the supporting female lead. Calm down. Want to chat with more like-minded people? Hurry up and wear the supporting female lead. Calm down. Look, talk about life. Find a confidant. Chapter 1892. I'll need a lot of ingredients to cook later. It should be about a bowl. Tangwa gestured the size of the bowl in front of her. Her slender finger pointed outside the window. Young Master Jiu, can you peel some garlic for me? I want a bowl. Big Sister Tang Bai, he's the Honorable Young Master Jiu. This isn't good, right? Although Young Master Jiu doesn't have much of an image in her heart. System, don't ask. It's a yes. Gu Juicy didn't hesitate at all. Just one bowl? Yes, one bowl is enough. Tangwa saw Gu Juicy rolling up his sleeves. After rolling up his sleeves, he fastened his folding fan to his waist. Miss Guo, if you have such small matters in the future, just let me know. At this moment, Gu Juicy seemed to have forgotten his identity. Peel garlic? He was afraid that he would forget himself. He wouldn't even pour himself a cup of water. She didn't know when he became so excited about peeling garlic. He strode to the kitchen and took a clean bowl. There was a stool outside the house. He took some garlic and placed it on the stool. He placed the stool near the window so that he could sit facing Tanghua. They could chat through the window. He placed the garlic by the window and hung it there. He took one and was about to peel it when Tanghua said, "Young Master Ju, you can't peel it with your hands. If you peel too much, your hands will hurt." Tanghua was about to pass him a pair of scissors. She didn't have any other intentions. She just suddenly wanted to see him peel garlic. Seeing that he didn't reject it at all and was so happy, she was in a good mood. Peeling garlic was fine. He couldn't hurt his hands because of it. Gu Juicy was stunned. He didn't take the scissors. Instead, he lifted his robe and took out a BS from beside his boots. "I'll use this." The BS was embedded with a few beautiful rubies. When the BS was unsheathed, it shone with a cold light. The system felt that if those garlic heads had consciousness, they would probably peel off their own shells when they saw such a BS. It was too scary, wasn't it? Gu Juicy saw that Tanghua was looking at him. He looked at the garlic and then at the BS in his hand. He asked, "Is there a problem?" "Ninth young master, have you ever killed anyone with your BS before? If you have cut someone and seen blood, you can't use it. You can't use it." Gu Juicy was speechless. Tangbai was speechless. System Gu Juicy snapped out of her daze and hurriedly said, "It hasn't. It's never been its turn to make a move." "Oh, ninth young master, I'll leave you to it." Tanghua smiled. "Thank you, ninth young master. It's nothing. It's just a small matter." Since he came to Miss Gua's place every day, he couldn't possibly eat for free. "I earned it with my own hard work, so I feel comfortable eating it." Tangbai was at a loss for words. This man was shameless. She was really worried that this kind of good-looking and shameless man would sooner or later cheat her sister away. When the butler and Lin Yin came back with the ingredients, they saw their master sitting under the window outside Tanghua's house. He had a smile on his face as he peeled garlic with a ruby-studded BS. The two of them thought that they had seen wrongly. When they came closer, they saw a large bowl of garlic. The small, snow-white cloves were lying there neatly. Lin Yin couldn't control the corners of his eyes. The butler couldn't hold back his smile and hurriedly ran over. "Hurry up and wear the supporting female lead." "Calm down. Want to chat with more like-minded people? Hurry up and wear the supporting female lead." "Calm down. Look, talk about life. Find a confidant." Chapter 1893. "Io, master, what are you doing? Let this old servant do the work of peeling garlic." The butler had already planned to snatch the garlic from Gu Juicy's hand, but he was glared at by Gu Juicy. "Butler, go wash the vegetables with Lin Yin." He raised his head and said to Lin Yin, "Cut the vegetables according to Miss Gua's instructions." "Master, I'll peel the garlic," the butler said. Gu Juicy waved his hand and said seriously, "There's no need. This is the task Miss Gua gave me. I don't feel comfortable coming here to eat for free every day. I'm happy to be able to do something for Miss Gua. Peeling the garlic is not a troublesome task. I can do it." The butler stared blankly at Gu Juicy, who was still so happy with her work. He knew that he could not persuade him. He looked up and glanced at Tanghua, who was smiling and talking to Gu Juicy from time to time. He wiped his sweat and walked towards Lin Yin with his hands behind his back. His master used to be so noble. He sat there like a rich young master. He witnessed how his master fell step by step. Now, he could sit under the window and peel garlic while chatting with a girl. He even looked so happy. Look at how he rolled up his sleeves and put a folding fan on his waist. He did not care about his image at all. The butler was worried. That master of his could not come back. So, he went to help Lin Yin wash the vegetables. Miss Gua's culinary skills were really good. He wanted to eat it again after eating it once. He could not stop at all. To be honest, it was really worth it to be able to eat such delicious food just by doing some work. He could understand his master's choice. "Lin Yin, let's go. We'll go to the stream to wash the vegetables and the fruits we bought. We'll send them to Master and Miss Gua later. It's getting late." Let's get ready so that Miss Guo can cook. Lin Yin carried a basket full of ingredients without complaint. The two of them walked to the stream and washed for a while. The butler patted his head and said, Lin Yin, go back and chop some firewood. I remember that Miss Guo's firewood has been used up. Lin Yin stood up and wiped the water away. Okay. For the sake of food, her master was even willing to peel garlic. What was chopping firewood to her? He had so much strength that he couldn't even use it all up. The assassin didn't want to play with him, and the saber hadn't been unsheathed for a long time. It was perfect for chopping firewood. When Lin Yin returned to the courtyard, he heard the sound of wood being chopped. He had a bad feeling. He pushed the door open and entered the room. Sure enough, he saw his master rolling up her silk robe. He was holding an axe and chopping firewood. Master, Lin Yin walked to the side. I'll come down. You'd better go back and peel the garlic. How can I let you do this kind of rough work? If word got back and your eldest and second brother found out, he would be scolded as a guard. Didn't I tell you to wash the vegetables? Gu Jusi did not feel that there was anything wrong with chopping firewood. This was what Miss Guo had instructed him to do, so he naturally had to do it. Go back and wash the vegetables. Do you have the heart to leave the old butler alone by the stream? The veins on Lin Yan's forehead twitched. Although the butler was young, he was very skilled. Although the butler was thin, 10 strong men couldn't beat him. Young Master Gio, take a rest and have a cup of tea. Quick female supporting character, calm down. Want to chat with more like-minded people? Quick female supporting character, calm down. Look, talk about life, find friends. Chapter 1894. Tangwa walked to Gu Jusi with a teacup in her hand. Lin Yin looked at his master who was drinking tea with a smile on his face, as if he was drinking something delicious. Look at his rolled-up robe and sleeves, holding a rough teacup and drinking tea. Isn't this something that can be bought with a few copper coins in the city? Is it that good? I was a little thirsty earlier, but after drinking Miss Guo's tea, I'm not thirsty anymore. Gu Jusi returned the teacup. Now, he could chop a pile of firewood. To be honest, why didn't he know that chopping firewood was so interesting? As expected, coming to live in Family Tang Village was a very good choice. No one would disturb him. It was quiet, and he could experience the joy of peeling garlic and chopping firewood. Young Master Gio, you chop first. I'll bring you another bowl later. If you're thirsty, you can call me. Tangwa smiled and looked at the firewood on the ground. Young Master Gio is amazing. You chopped so much in such a short time. Lin Yin glanced at it. If he were here, he would chop even more. Master, in the end, had never done this kind of work before. Forget it. If Master likes to chop firewood, then chop firewood. It'll be fine after the novelty wears off. When Lin Yin turned and walked out of the courtyard, he heard Gu Jusi's voice behind him. Miss Guo, you flatter me. This is nothing. If necessary, I can chop faster. There's no hurry. Young Master Gio, you can chop slowly. Then I'll chop more for you. It'll burn longer. Lin Yin thought that his master was sick. When the housekeeper saw Lin Yin return, he was puzzled. Why are you back? Someone is chopping firewood, Lin Yin replied. Who is it? Did the village head and his 2 sons come back? No, Lin Yin said gloomily. When I went back, I happened to see Master chopping firewood with a smile on his face. He probably thought that chopping firewood was interesting and fun. I haven't seen Master so interested in anything for a long time. The housekeeper was shocked. His master was chopping firewood after peeling garlic? Housekeeper, don't worry. Master probably thinks it's something new. Housekeeper, chopping firewood is fun? Tang Bai, who was sitting in her room embroidering, didn't know how to describe her feelings. Her sister was so powerful that she could make the 9th young master chop firewood. This was a character that even Su Machin was afraid of. Since that day, Su Machin had not appeared here. He must be afraid of young Master Jia. Rebirth had changed too many things. If it was in her previous life, would Su Machin have dared to destroy her family if the 9th young master had not left the village early? Tang Bai quickly shook her head and smiled. Now that everything was fine, she didn't want to recall the unhappy things of the past. Su Machin had already decided to leave the village. He really didn't expect that person to be here, the ninth young master from next door. It was also his fault for not paying attention to it. Otherwise, he would have discovered it long ago. Before he left, he definitely had to go and say goodbye. Of course, he did not say goodbye to the other party directly. Instead, he went to Tangua's house to make it clear that he was leaving and that he had no other intentions. Thoughts? Did he dare? That day, the other party had given him a warning. If he had any other thoughts, he could forget about leaving this village. As for the other party, he wasn't the type to meddle in other people's business. As long as he didn't cause trouble here, his news shouldn't be spread. It was Tang Chong who accompanied Su Machin. She already knew that Su Machin was preparing to leave. Hearing this news, she was a little happy. Quick, female supporting character. Calm down, want to chat with more like-minded people. Quick, female supporting character. Calm down. Look, talk about life. Find confidence. Chapter 1895. Just a few days ago, the two of them expressed their feelings to each other, and she agreed to leave with Su Machin. Of course, she did not tell her father about this for the time being. Her father had just taken a batch of goods out and did not know when he would return. It would probably be a month later at the earliest. If her father did not return in 2 days, she could only leave a letter and leave with Su Machin. She did not have much feelings for this family. Her father only cared about business, just like her parents in the past. Fortunately, she had her own hobbies and pursuits. Her parents provided for her, so she did not have much of an opinion. Now that she was here, she could be considered to be taking refuge for Tang Jindo's family. It would be best if Su Machin left. After all, Tang Bai was still here. If the two of them got into a fight, who knew if it would be a tragedy? With Tang Bai's personality, she would definitely not get along with Su Machin. Su Machin was her idol, so it was better for her to take care of him herself. If he left, the village would not be in danger. When he could return in the future would depend on fate. Speaking of which, she was still a little reluctant. Whether it was Tangua or Tang Bai, they had gotten along very well in the past year. Tangua's embroidery skills were really admirable. She only hated that she did not have enough money. Tang Bai was also a gentle girl. She was different from what she saw in the books. After interacting with her, she really liked this cousin of hers. But they were ultimately not the same kind of people. She had probably transmigrated here to accompany her idol. She had to leave. Su Machin brought Tang Chong into the courtyard. When they heard the sound of chopping wood, they all thought that it was Lin Yin. They did not expect that the person chopping wood after walking in was actually the ninth young master. Tang Chong did not have much of a reaction. She lived in a world where everyone was equal and did not care much about status and class. Su Machin was different. That person was actually chopping wood here? While he was stunned, Tangwa poured tea for Gu Jusi. Seeing Gu Jusi put down the axe and enjoy the tea with a smile, Su Machin was a little unable to accept it. Did this Tangwa not know that the other party was of noble status? How could she let him chop wood? However, Gu Jusi's willing expression made him speechless. Su Machin took a deep breath and walked over. He only dared to nod at Gu Jusi, whose robe and sleeves were rolled up. Then, he told Tangwa that he was leaving and thanked her for taking care of him for the past year. He asked her to tell the village head that he was actually only here to tell Gu Jusi that he was leaving. He did not intend to cause trouble, nor did he have any designs on Tangwa. He told the other party not to hold a grudge. He promised to leave this place obediently and would not bring any danger to the village. If this person bore a grudge against him, he wouldn't be able to walk out of this village. Then take care, young Master Chun, Tangwa said. She saw Tang Bai's relieved expression, and her lips curled into a smile. Next, Tang Bai would probably agree to hire a teacher for the other party. She had long wanted to take out all the skills that Tang Bai knew. The system was such a bad woman. Hearing that Tang Chong was also leaving, Tang Bai came back to her senses. Ignoring Su Machin, she pulled Tang Chong and said, Chong, you're leaving too? Yes, I don't know how long he'll be gone. I have to go with him. Tang Bai did not let go of Tang Chong. Young Master Chun, can you go back and wait for a while? We want to talk to Chong for a while. Su Machin naturally did not dare to refuse. There was someone who looked at him and smiled, saying that it was fine. Chong, calm down. Want to talk with more like-minded people? Qiang, calm down. Look, talk about life. Find a confidant. Chapter 1896. Sister Qiang, do you really want to go with that, Mr. Qin? Tang Bai bit her lip, not knowing what to say. Through observation, she could vaguely guess that Tang Chong might know who Su Machin was. Sometimes, she would look at her with a strange look. She had to guess that she might know about her entanglement with Su Machin. Su Machin's existence was known by the whole village. She had to suspect that Tang Chong did it on purpose to avoid being exterminated. Tang Chong was a careless person and did not realize that she had been reborn. She did not intend to expose this. She just did not understand why Tang Chong would choose to go with Su Machin if she knew about the past. Tang Chong smiled and said, "Of course I'll go with him. I've already decided." If she did not go with him, she would not be able to see him in the future. Their identities were worlds apart. If she did not go with him this time, she would not have a chance in the future. There would be many battles and crises in the future. She had to face them together with her idol. Tang Bai sighed. Do you know who he is and what he will face in the future? Sister, help me talk to Sister Qiang and ask her to give up. Now that we have Tang's embroidery shop in the village, our village is better than the people in the city. We will become more and more prosperous in the future. Sister Qiang, don't you think that Family Tang Village is also very good? Tang Chong nodded. Family Tang Village was very good. But there was no Family Tang Village. She was not from Family Tang Village. She was just a wandering ghost who had somehow drifted here and was lucky enough to meet her Prince Charming. Since Tang Bai had called him, Tangwa naturally had to say something. Qiang, that Mr. Qin's identity is not simple. If you go with him, you don't know what will happen in the future. You probably won't leave immediately. Think about it carefully in the remaining time. Once you go, you will have no one to rely on except him. If you encounter any grievances in the future, you will have no one to talk to. Think about it. Sister Guo, I know you care about me, but I have to go this time. If there is a chance in the future, I will come back to see you. When she said there was a chance, of course, she meant when everything stabilized. At that time, it would be easy for her to come back. Before that, she did not plan to come back. Su Machin had a complicated identity and many enemies. If she really came back, she might bring misfortune to the village. Although she wasn't someone who would sacrifice herself for others, she didn't have many feelings for this place. However, she didn't want the innocent villagers to lose their lives because of her. Besides, she couldn't bear to see a master embroiderer like Tangwa suffer. The person who could embroider that kind of legendary embroidered handkerchief should live well. In the future, when everything calmed down, she and her Prince Charming would have a happy ending. She would definitely come back and ask Tangwa to embroider a bridal handkerchief for her. In the end, Tang Chong stubbornly left. Tang Bai's eyes were red. She wanted to pull her back, but she couldn't. Sis, how can I stop this? Even if it was a lonely soul that she did not know, she did not want him to follow in her footsteps. Su Machin was not a good person. Tangwa raised her head and said with a smile, everyone had their own fate, and the choices they made had their own consequences. This was Qiang's own choice, and no one could stop her. If she wanted to leave, that young Master Chen would definitely be able to take her away. I was afraid that she would be wronged and hurt in the future. No matter how great the grievances and injuries were, they were all her choices. Naturally, she had to bear them. Tang Chong was stunned and didn't say anything. Miss Guo, do you have enough firewood? Gu Jusi put the axe aside, put down his robe, and walked in. He smiled at Tangwa. Tangwa walked out and said, It's enough. Young Master Jiu, let me get some water for you to wash your hands. Thank you. Of course, Gu Jusi wouldn't refuse. After washing his hands, Tangwa handed a handkerchief to Gu Jusi. Young Master Jiu, wipe your hands. Gu Jusi then said, I'll go back to wipe my hands and change my clothes. I'll wait for Miss Guo's food later. After Gu Jusi stepped into his room, he put the handkerchief into a brocade box. Miss Guo's embroidered handkerchief was clean and beautiful. It would be a waste to use it to wipe his hands. X767E, and X9540, and X4E00, and X4E0B, and X201C. Quick crossover, Female supporting character, calm down in X722A, and X4E66, and X5C4B, and X201D, and X6700, and X65B0, and X7AE0, and X8282, and X7B2C, and X4E00, and X65F6, and X95F4, and X514D, and X8D39, and X9605, and X8BFB, and X3002, and X3002, the peak. Half of this embroidery shop belongs to you. How can you talk about buying it out? You seem to like it a lot, so I'm relieved. Gu Jusi was speechless when she heard Tangwa's words. Although he was happy, there was also an indescribable feeling in his heart. What kind of feeling was that? Perhaps he was very happy. Then, Tangwa heard Gu Jusi report her measurements incoherently. Tangwa almost could not hold back and laughed out loud. Ninth young master, I'm afraid you've reported too little. How could this be? I just measured it a month ago. X767E, and X9540, and X4E00, and X4E0B, and X201C. Quick crossover, female supporting character, calm down in X722A, and X4E66, and X5C4B, and X201D, and X6700, and X65B0, and X7AE0, and X8282, and X7B2C, and X4E00, and X65F6, and X95F4, and X514D, and X8D39, and X9605, and X8BFB, and X3002, and X3002, peak. Chapter 1898. Ninth young master, haven't you realized that you've grown taller? Tangwa glanced at Gu Jusi's clothes. Look at it yourself, isn't it? Gu Jusi lowered her head. When she looked, she realized that the hem of her clothes was indeed a little shorter. No wonder he felt that something was strange these 2 days. It turned out that the clothes had become smaller. He usually made new clothes once a month. He had not had the time to make them this month, so he naturally did not have the time to take measurements. At his age, he was indeed growing faster. Miss Guo-er's eyes were really sharp. Tangwa looked at him with a smile. Then, ninth young master, come in. What are you doing? Gu Jusi asked subconsciously. Why don't I go back and ask the butler to take my measurements before coming over? He glanced at the ready-made clothes on the paper. Let's agree that this belongs to me. System, don't worry. If it's not for you, there are so many embroiderers in the embroidery shop. All of them are skilled. Would the host need to do it personally? Just as Gu Jusi was about to turn around, Tangwa hurriedly stopped him. Ninth young master, why do you have to go so far? I make clothes. Why do you have to go back and ask the old butler to take your measurements? Isn't it more convenient to take your measurements here? Gu Jusi, who was about to turn around and leave, froze for a moment. His ears turned red. Miss Guo-er was a woman, although he did not mind. But taking his measurements, wasn't that very intimate? Gu Jusi did not speak for a moment. His mind was in a mess. Tangwa wrapped her arms around his waist and looked up at him. She looked like she was taking his measurements. Not only were his ears red, but his face was also a little red. Why was he thinking about such strange things? But when he thought about these strange scenes, he could not move his feet. Ninth young master, come in quickly. The style of the clothes has been drawn. Once the measurements are taken, I can start making the clothes for you. Hearing Tangwa's curse-like voice, Gu Jusi's legs did not listen to him. He walked uncontrollably into the room. When he walked in front of Tangwa, he realized what he had done. The slight redness on his face faded, but his ears were still red. Not only were they red, but they were also hot. Standing like this, he could smell the fragrance of her body. This sweet and refreshing aroma made him feel dizzy. Ninth young master raised his arm. Gu Jusi's brain lost its ability to think. She listened to Tangwa and raised her arm. In an instant, he felt someone hugging him. He looked down. This was not good. Why didn't Miss Guo-er find a servant to measure his size? There was a difference between men and women. He glanced around the room. It seemed that there were only him and Guo in the room. He let out a long sigh. The fact that there was no one else here should have affected Miss Guo's reputation, right? Just as she thought that, the door was pushed open. Before Tangwa could react, Gu Juicy's body stiffened. Tangwa was a little amused. It was just a measurement. What was there to be nervous about? System, don't be shy. I'm trying my best to be cute. Who else could it be? It was all for you. Who asked him to always express that he liked cute people and praised them for being cute? If she wasn't cute anymore and didn't want him anymore, who could he cry to? Sister Guo, is Abai not here? Lin Xinxin shouted as she pushed the door open. Her gaze swept past Tang Bai's position and finally landed on Gu Juicy and Tangwa. Where did Abai go? X767E, and X9540, and X4E00, and X4E0B, and X201C. Quick crossover, female supporting character, calm down in X722A, and X4E66, and X5C4B, and X201D, and X6700, and X65B0, and X7AE0, and X8282, and X7B2C, and X4E00, and X65F6, and X95F4, and X514D, and X8D39, and X9605, and X8BFB, and X3002, and X3002, peak. Chapter 1899. Gu Juicy's body stiffened, and he couldn't speak. Guo was hugging his waist. Actually, he wanted to tell Lin Xinxin that things weren't like what she saw. But an explanation was a cover-up. If he tried his best to explain, she might think he was hiding something. It was fine if Tang Bai saw them. However, a girl from the village whom he was not familiar with saw him. He didn't know what she would think of Guo. I wanted to ask Abai to embroider a handkerchief for me. Lin Xinxin looked regretful and didn't care at all. Tangwa measured Gu Juicy's size. Sister Guo, when will Abai come back? Tangwa turned around and said, come back later. You'll be back soon. Is that so? Lin Xinxin finally saw Gu Juicy. She wasn't afraid of such a mysterious and noble man. Young Master Jia was here too. Gu Juicy's face stiffened and he nodded. When he saw Lin Xinxin's gaze, he didn't know what was wrong with him, but he immediately said, I can take responsibility. Lin Xinxin, responsibility? What responsibility? Tangwa, question mark. System, ha ha, I'm laughing so hard. After Gu Juicy said that, he relaxed and his face became serious. Miss Lin, I'll marry Miss Guo. Please don't say anything bad about her in the village. Lin Xinxin, what bad things will she say about Guo? Who in the village isn't afraid of Guo? Even the king of the children would shiver for a long time after hearing Sister Guo's gentle words. Would she dare to say anything bad about Guo? Guo was the hope of everyone in the family Tang village. Their lives were good, but they weren't as prosperous as they were now. After Guo's embroidery shop, the village had nice houses and they could eat meat for every meal. Sister Guo was someone that everyone respected. If anyone dared to speak ill of her, the villagers would tear that person's mouth apart. Lin Xinxin reacted quickly. Gu Juicy wanted to marry Tangwa. She frowned. Young Master Jio, our Guo won't marry. She's only looking for a son-in-law. System. Ha ha ha. Sister Guo, didn't you say that you want to find a good-looking and obedient husband after you become a millionaire? Why did ninth young master say that he wanted to marry you? Tangwa pursed her lips and smiled, not knowing how to explain. She was caught off guard by Gu Juicy's sudden request to take responsibility. System. That's enough. Stop pretending. What do you mean by being caught off guard? If you didn't start flirting, would I not have been able to hold myself back? He even flirted with her for no reason. Who could stand it? Ninth young master, with your noble status, I'm sure you don't want to marry into Sister Guo's family, right? Lin Xinxin walked to Tangwa and said with a smile, then I advise you not to provoke our Sister Guo. The strong lads in the village knew that Sister Guo liked obedient, good-looking, and knowledgeable men. Now that they had all entered the academy and were studying seriously, they didn't go out to fool around. There were simply too many people who wanted to marry into Sis Guo's family. Sister Guo was the world's #1 embroiderer, and she was also known as the embroiderer's master. Even if ninth young master had a noble status, he couldn't force Sister Guo to marry him. Our family Tang village's people weren't to be trifled with. Ninth young master couldn't force people against their will. Originally, Gu Jusi said that he wanted to take responsibility and marry Tanghua because he was afraid that someone would use this to tarnish her reputation. X767E, and X9540, and X4E00, and X4E0B, and X201C. Quick crossover, female supporting character, calm down in X722A, and X4E66, and X5C4B, and X201D, and X6700, and X65B0, and X7AE0, and X8282, and X7B2C, and X4E00, and X65F6, and X95F4, and X514D, and X8D39, and X9605, and X8BFB, and X3002, and X3002, peak. Chapter 1900. Now, he heard from Lin Xinshin that all the strong men in the village were seriously changing themselves to become knowledgeable and good-looking because of Tanghua's requirements. He was so anxious that he blurted out, "I can marry into her family too." Tanghua looked at Gu Jusi in surprise. Gu Jusi panicked and straightened his back. "Seriously, I can marry into her family too. Besides, no matter how the strong men in the village raise me, they can't raise me to be as good-looking as I am. No matter how educated they are, they can't compare to me who started memorizing poems when I was 2 years old. I don't dare to say that I'm the most knowledgeable in the world, but I can say that I'm very knowledgeable." "Young Master Jiu, do you really want to marry into her family?" Lin Xinshin was completely curious. She sized up Gu Jusi and nodded. "Young Master Jiu is indeed the most good-looking man I've ever seen. The rough men in our village can't compare to you. If you're sincere to Sister Guo and are willing to marry into her family, you can marry into her family too." Lin Xinshin's words made Gu Jusi speechless. He had completely lost his composure just now. Lin Xinshin was clearly a village girl. Why couldn't he control himself and blurt out all kinds of nonsense? Gu Jusi was annoyed. It was really embarrassing. Tanghua glanced at him and said to Lin Xinshin, "Xinshin, don't make fun of young Master Jia. Just treat it as a joke." "Sister Guo, young Master Jiu is actually not bad." Lin Xinshin added, "If you don't like him, then forget it. Sister Guo is so outstanding. In the future, there will be many young, outstanding, and good-looking men who are willing to marry into the Tang family." Lin Xinshin's words made Gu Jusi unable to hold back. "Miss Guo, I'm serious. I'm not joking. If you like me, I'm willing to marry into your family." After saying this, Gu Jusi felt a little more at ease. He looked at Tanghua eagerly. Thinking about it carefully, it was not bad to marry into her family. He liked coming to her place and was willing to look at her every day. When he was taking measurements, his mind was filled with her. When he thought of those ambiguous scenes, something seemed to flow through his heart. It was warm. Gu Jusi's mind was clear this time. So he liked to come here because he liked to be with Miss Guo? He blinked and repeated himself with a rather proud tone. "Miss Guo, do you want to consider it? There aren't many people in the world who look like me anymore." System. This scene really changed very quickly. From being shy to being shameless, it was only a step away. "Sister Guo, I'll leave first. I'll look for Abai later." Although Lin Xinshin wanted to watch the show, she still had things to do. As for whether Gu Jusi would marry into Tanghua's family, they would find out in the future. Moreover, it wasn't appropriate for her to be here in this situation. She secretly believed that Gu Jusi was a man worthy of her sister Guo. She had to go back and tell the others about this. As Xinshin said, "I have another request." Tanghua looked up with a smile. Not only did she have to be pretty, but she also had to be obedient. Gu Jusi's ears were red. For a moment, she did not know what to say. It was too shameful for a grown man to talk about being obedient. Xinshin was more talkative. She liked to talk about new things with the villagers. Tanghua suddenly changed the topic, but young Master Jiu did not have to worry. X767E, and X9540, and X4E00, and X4E0B, and X201C. Quick crossover, female supporting character, calm down in X722A, and X4E66, and X5C4B, and X201D, and X6700, and X65B0, and X7AE0, and X8282, and X7B2C, and X4E00, and X65F6, and X95F4, and X514D, and X8D39, and X9605, and X8BFB, and X3002, and X3002, the peak. Chapter 1901. I'm the boss of the embroidery house. Even if the villagers know something, they won't dare to talk about it openly. Gu Juicy frowned. Does that mean they'll talk about it secretly? Miss Gua or young Master Jiu, you don't have to worry. Tanghua was already memorizing Gu Juicy's measurements. Gu Juicy followed behind her and smelled the fragrance from her hair. Thinking about how they had been together for so long, his attention was actually attracted to her. It was just that he didn't know, and he didn't realize that his mind had always been on her. Miss Guo, if you don't mind, I'll listen to you in the future. I'll do whatever you say. After Gu Juicy thought it through, he said these words openly. He even ran in front of Tanghua. Look, there aren't many people who are as good-looking, obedient, and knowledgeable as me, right? Not only do I know how to greet people, but I also know how to draw. I'm a man, so I know what kind of clothes those noble young masters like. I can draw for you. As for the big embroidery house, I'll marry into your family. The entire embroidery house will be yours. My family is rich, right? I'll let you keep my share. He turned around and asked his second brother for more precious items, whether it was tributes, houses, or good things from the western region. Let him choose first before distributing them to others. Young Master Jiu, you have a noble status. Will your family agree? Gu Juicy was delighted. As long as Miss Gua likes them, I'll persuade my family. Even if they don't want to, they can't do anything about it. But Miss Gua, don't worry. I don't think they have a reason to disagree. His eldest brother and second brother were worried sick about his marriage. They kept sending him all kinds of portraits of noble ladies in the capital. He was not interested at all. He didn't even look at them. He had the butler burn them as firewood. Last year, he was really annoyed. He sent a message back. If they dared to send portraits of girls again, he would go to the temple and become a monk. After this, his eldest brother and second brother sent him letters. Although they nagged, they didn't force him to find a girl. Now that he had a girl he liked, his eldest brother and second brother should be very happy. They would definitely be satisfied with this girl. As for marrying into their family, they shouldn't mind. It was better than being a monk. Ninth young master, are you only considering my reputation? Or is there some other reason why you're willing to marry into our family? Although Gu Juicy was a little embarrassed, she still thickened her skin and whispered, Guo, I like it when I'm with you. I like it very much. After a pause, he added, do you agree? If you agree, don't call me ninth young master in the future. It's too distant. Just call me a Jew. Big brother and second brother called him Xiao Jiu, and the girl he liked called him A Jiu. Thinking about being called A Jiu by her, he felt extremely sweet in his heart. Previously, he had always felt that living in this world, there was everything, but something was missing. He tried his best to find something that he liked. He liked to stay in a corner to paint and enjoy the silence. He liked to eat delicious food, which would satisfy his lips and teeth. The delicious taste of food could fill up the empty space in his heart. For the time being, he could stop thinking about what was missing in his life. Now he was satisfied. What he lacked in his life was a girl who could call him Agio. X767E, and X9540, and X4E00, and X4E0B, and X201C. Quick crossover, female supporting character, calm down in X722A, and X4E66, and X5C4B, and X201D, and X6700, and X65B0, and X7AE0, and X8282, and X7B2C, and X4E00, and X65F6, and X95F4, and X514D, and X8D39, and X9605, and X8BFB, and X3002, and X3002, the peak. Chapter 1902. Gu Juicy looked at Tangwa seriously, waiting for an answer. The smile on Tangwa's lips widened. She called out softly, "Okay, Aju." Gu Juicy couldn't describe his feelings at this moment. He only felt that the blood in his body was warm, as if it was about to burst out. He almost couldn't control himself and hugged her. Fortunately, he controlled himself in the end. He already understood why he kept the handkerchief she embroidered and couldn't bear to use the one she gave him to wipe his hands. After expressing his feelings, Gu Juicy looked at Tangwa very straightforwardly, seriously, and brightly. Anyone who was looked at with such sincere and focused eyes would be moved. Because it was too sincere, so sincere that it could warm people's hearts. When Tangbai came back after failing to persuade Tang Chong, she saw Gu Juicy holding several beautiful hairpins in her hands. She handed them to Tangwa. "I don't know what you like, Guo, so I brought them all. There are gold hairpins, jade hairpins, and even gold inlaid with jade. These earrings are from the western regions. The colors are bright, and they suit you very well." He went back to find these things just now. After expressing his feelings, he remembered that Tangwa once said that she wanted to earn money to buy silk clothes, gold head ornaments, jewelry, and so on. Then, he couldn't wait to go back. He dragged the butler and Lin Yin around the entire house to look for things that girls liked. When he left, these things were prepared for him by his second brother. He said that if he met a girl he liked in the future, he would give them to her. Previously, he scoffed at them. Now, he was grateful to his slightly perverted second brother. Tangbai frowned. What was going on? She had only been out for 2 hours. Who could find her? What terrible things had happened here? Why did that Gu Juicy look even more shameless? He held a pile of precious jewelry and presented it to her sister. He even called her sister's name, Guo. It was so intimate. This Gu Juicy was a lecher. Tangbai walked over and frowned at Gu Juicy. "Young Master Jiao, it's not very appropriate for you to give these to my sister. Men and women were different. If word got out, it would be misunderstood and affect her sister's reputation. It was best if he got out of here quickly." He actually dared to covet her sister. This kind of rich young master was the most dangerous. She would not allow anyone to hurt her sister. Abai was back. Gu Juicy glanced at the jewelry in front of her. "You should pick one too. Ninth young master, please call me Miss Abai or second Miss Tang." A very serious Tangbai. Gu Juicy looked at Tangwa eagerly and said, "Abai, don't misunderstand. Guo and I are already engaged. I will marry into your family in the future. I'll send someone home later to explain this matter to my family and the village chief. I won't let Guo's reputation be tarnished." Tangbai was stunned. Marry into the family? Gu Juicy wanted to marry into the family? Such an honorable person actually wanted to marry into their family? "Abai, choose one," Tangwa said. Seeing Tangbai's stunned look, she helped her choose a jasper hairpin. The Jew was very sincere. "Sister, he's the best looking. He listens to me now," Tangwa said with a smile. Tangbai was speechless. She looked at Gu Juicy, who looked very obedient and had put away all her sharpness. She was speechless. Gu Juicy hurriedly said, "Abai, don't worry. I'll listen to your sister in the future. Everything she says is right." Tangbai thought, she can actually be so shameless. No wonder she managed to coax sister. Her premonition came true. But it also proved that Gu Juicy was different from Su Machin. The person who could lower himself and say these words must really like her sister. Then, she was secretly observing? "If you don't treat sister well and dare to bully her, I'll chase you out of the house with a broom." Gu Juicy had a smile on her face. She thought to herself, it's easier to invite a god than to send him away. In the future, he would be Guo's man. Lin Xin, that little girl, would definitely spread the news of him marrying into the family throughout the village. X767E, and X9540, and X4E00, and X4E0B, and X201C. Quick crossover, female supporting character, calm down and X722A, and X4E66, and X5C4B, and X201D, and X6700, and X65B0, and X7AE0, and X8282, and X7B2C, and X4E00, and X65F6, and X95F4, and X514D, and X8D39, and X9605, and X8BFB, and X3002, and X3002, peak. Chapter 1903. Gu Jusi was right. That afternoon, the news that he was going to marry into Tangwa's family was spread throughout the village by Lin Xinxin. Throughout the afternoon, many people came to Tangwa's house one after another. They all came to ask Tangwa if this was true. If it was true, then their children would have no chance at all. There was no justice in this world. You, Gu Jusi, are so good-looking, well-educated, and have such a good family background. Isn't it good to marry 8 or 10 wives and enjoy the happiness of having multiple wives? Why do you have to marry into our family? Yes, a Jew will marry into our family in the future. Tangwa replied with a smile. Auntie Li's words in the village made Auntie Li return in disappointment. Tangwa was the boss of the embroidery shop. Even if she was unwilling, what could she do? All the villagers respected Tangwa from the bottom of their hearts. They couldn't blame her just because she hired someone who wasn't from their family. Disappointment was disappointment, but there was nothing they could do about it. When Gu Jusi stood beside Tangwa, they were really a good match. The man was handsome, and the woman was pretty. Not to mention in the village, even in the city, there was probably no one more suitable than Gu Jusi. That's right. A Jew has already sent someone back to tell his family about our matter. It shouldn't take long for news to arrive. I'm very satisfied. He's good-looking, and he said that he'll listen to me in the future. A Jew said that in this world, there are very few people who are as good-looking and knowledgeable as him. I think it makes sense. My father? A Jew is so outstanding, and he's still willing to marry into our family. He won't object. He might even be very happy. Don't worry. Why would he bully me? In the future, he'll marry into our family. There are so many people in our village. Gu Jusi sat obediently at the side and watched Tangwa deal with the warm-hearted people in the village. They all came to ask about the truth of this matter. At the same time, they were also worried that with his noble status, Tangwa would be at a disadvantage. These people were all for the good of Tangwa, so Gu Jusi could only sit obediently and not say anything. If anyone asked him, he would say that he would listen to everything Tangwa said in the future. He thought the same in his heart. Was there anything wrong with listening to her? Would it cause any trouble in his life? None of them. Hearing her words, he was actually very happy and satisfied. Tangbai had been observing Gu Jusi and noticed that he was not impatient at all. He had no ill intentions towards the villagers. When Tangwa was talking, he sat obediently at the side and maintained a smile the whole time. When someone greeted him, he nodded. Someone came over and carefully asked him why he made such a choice. He said that he liked to be with Guo and was willing to listen to her. There was no difference between marrying into her family and marrying her. He even said that he liked the life here. The mountains were green, the water was clear, and it was far away from the hustle and bustle. It was a good place to live, as expected of a person who learned how to please others. With just a few words, the villagers were all smiles and had a much better impression of him. Seeing Gu Jusi lowering herself like this, Tangbai felt more at ease. Although she had met a scourge who brought disaster to her family in her previous life, it did not mean that all men in this world were bad. Didn't that include her father and 3 elder brothers? Based on the current situation, Gu Jusi was a good man. In short, she would keep an eye on him. In the evening, Tang Jindo finally came back. X767E, and X9540, and X4E00, and X4E0B, and X201C. Quick crossover, female supporting character, calm down in X722A, and X4E66, and X5C4B, and X201D, and X6700, and X65B0, and X7AE0, and X8282, and X7B2C, and X4E00, and X65F6, and X95F4, and X514D, and X8D39, and X9605, and X8BFB, and X3002, and X3002, the peak. Chapter 1904. This time, Tang's eldest brother, Tang Changsheng, second brother, Tang Changchun, and third brother, Tang Changqing, were all back. There was no other reason. So many things had happened in the village, and the city was so close to the village. Tang's status was not ordinary now. The whole city knew that she was going to take in a son-in-law. Gu Jusi wanted to marry into the family, and Lin Xin, that blabbermouth, spread the news. It would be strange if they did not know. Even the county magistrate and his wife knew. When the four of them came back, Gu Jusi was still not home. Now that he understood his feelings, he did not want to stay in the house every day. So when he saw Tang Jindo come back with two tall and strong men and a handsome young man, he was stunned. Then he quickly stood up and moved to Tang's side. Tang Jindo smiled and cupped his hands in greeting. "Ninth young master," Gu Jusi quickly said. "Village chief, you can call me Little Gio." "Tang Jindo, are you feeling guilty because you kidnapped his daughter?" "System, what do you mean by kidnapped your daughter? It's clearly your daughter who kidnapped him." "Guo Daddy wants to talk to ninth young master. Can you and Abai go out and play first?" Tang Jindo was not an ignorant person. He knew that Tangguo was going to take in a son-in-law, and he agreed. But he did not expect that the person being taken in would be Gu Jusi. If it was in the past, he would not have believed it. Tangguo nodded. "Daddy, brothers, don't bully him. Let's talk." When Tang Jindo heard this, he understood. His daughter really liked Gu Jusi. All right, then he would be polite and not hit him. He would just ask Gu Jusi what his plans were. After all, this was a big matter. That night, Tang Jindo brought his three sons and locked Gu Jusi in the room. No one knew what they talked about. Other than Gu Jusi, no one knew what kind of unbelievable things a young man like him had experienced. When they came out together, Tang Jindo was full of smiles. His brothers were also very satisfied. Gu Jusi's lips were a bit dry. After talking so much, he was really thirsty. Ever since he was born, he had been a noble person. Who would dare to ask him so many questions at once? He even had to answer them carefully. In order to be with the girl he loved, he really worked hard. Finally, he managed to settle his future father-in-law and three brothers-in-law. It was really not easy, especially the third brother-in-law, who had learned a lot of knowledge. The questions he asked were really tricky. Indeed, there was no need to reason with a scholar. All sorts of crooked reasoning could drown a person. When Sumachin found out that Gu Jusi was going to marry into Tangguo's family, he decided to leave early. Originally, he had planned to leave in 10 days, but after knowing about this, he told Tang Chong that he had something urgent to attend to and left on the third day. They left in the middle of the night. Tang Chong was afraid that they would be stopped if they left during the day. "Abai, why aren't you asleep yet?" Tang Bai watched as Tang Chong left in Su Machin's carriage. She was always easily awakened at night. She would wake up at the slightest movement. Sister Changqiang was really afraid that someone would stop her. Tang Bai said in a low voice, "Sis, go to sleep. I was just a little worried, but it's useless to worry now." Whether he lived or died, she didn't care anymore. She just didn't understand why Tang Chong was so stubborn and insisted on leaving with Su Machin. The next day, when Tang Jindo found out about this, he was also a little angry and quickly wrote a letter to Tang Indo. Half a month later, Tang Indo returned. X767E, and X9540, and X4E00, and X4E0B, and X201C. Quick crossover, female supporting character, calm down in X722A, and X4E66, and X5C4B, and X201D, and X6700, and X65B0, and X7AE0, and X8282, and X7B2C, and X4E00, and X65F6, and X95F4, and X514D, and X8D39, and X9605, and X8BFB, and X3002, and X3002, the peak. Chapter 1905. Tang Indo was also furious. Although he liked to make money, he still loved his daughter. He understood Tang Chong's character. Even if he was at home, he might not be able to stop her. He already knew that Su Machun was not a simple businessman, so he had always been very polite to him. He did not dare to chase him away for as long as he wanted to stay, for fear of getting into trouble. He pretended not to see what Su Machun did. He also knew that Tang Chong liked Su Machun, but he never thought that she would run away with him. He was relieved that Su Machun had left, but he was still worried. He did not know what his daughter was doing now and what she would encounter in the future. He was angry for a few days and sent people to investigate. In the end, there was no result. Tang Indo had no choice but to buy some finished products from the embroidery shop. He guessed that Su Machun's identity was either rich or noble, and he was seriously injured. He had heard some rumors in the capital, so this time, he took this batch of goods to the capital. Such goods were definitely profitable, and at the same time, he could ask about Tang Chong's news. No matter where she went, she should at least leave him a definite message. Tang Indo and his men were pulling the goods when they bumped into a large group of carriages. Those people were all riding horses, and each of them looked extraordinary. At first glance, he knew that they were not simple people. He hurriedly called for the waiter to make way for these people of unknown statuses, who were obviously very honorable at a glance. At this moment, a carriage stopped beside him. The curtain of the carriage was lifted, and an old man who looked a little old but was full of energy asked him with a smile, "May I ask, is this direction to Qingning County?" "Yes, this direction is to Qingning County," Tang Indo said hurriedly, but his legs were trembling. He had seen countless people in his years of traveling outside. There was no lack of officials in the imperial court. Although they were only 5th or 6th rank, they were not small officials. The old man in front of him had a dignified aura around him. It was simply incomparable to all the people he had seen before. Even though he was smiling amiably, that dignified look of his really made him a little scared, especially when there was a murderous aura around him. It was a contrast to his kind face. He really did not understand what kind of person he was. Tang Indo was afraid of such a person. What kind of person was this? Why would he go to Qingning County? He did not dare to look directly at this person, but he could tell from the situation of the entire convoy that these people were walking at a moderate pace. It was not hard to imagine that going to Qingning County was not something urgent. In other words, it shouldn't bring any danger to their county. The caravan was still pulling a lot of goods, and considering the people in the carriages, could it be that they were going back to retire? Thinking of this, Tang Indo felt more at ease. "Are you the boss of the caravan?" Tang Indo replied, "Yes." "Oh, what are they selling?" Tang Indo didn't dare to not answer. There were some valuable embroidery and ready-made clothes. Was she born from the family Tang embroidery house? Tang Indo raised his head subconsciously. After the initial shock, she felt relieved. Now that the whole world knew about the Tang embroidery manor, it was normal for such a noble person to know about it. The old man smiled. "Are you from the family Tang village?" Tang Indo couldn't help but ask, "How did you know?" X767E, and X9540, and X4E00, and X4E0B, and X201C. Quick crossover, female supporting character, calm down in X722A, and X4E66, and X5C4B, and X201D, and X6700, and X65B0, and X7AE0, and X8282, and X7B2C, and X4E00, and X65F6, and X95F4, and X514D, and X8D39, and X9605, and X8BFB, and X3002, and X3002, peak. He held a dagger in one hand and a clove of garlic in the other. Seeing this scene, the old man could not help but laugh out loud. So this was how his little Jew peeled garlic? When Gu Juicy heard the laughter, she naturally turned around and shouted at the old man, "Big brother, you're here? Here it comes." The old man took large strides and quickly arrived in front of Gu Juicy. "Little Jew, I gave you this dagger for self-defense. Why did you use it to peel garlic? This dagger has been with me for many years and has never been unsheathed. Now that it finally has a use, Big Brother should feel honored for it. Isn't it an honor to be able to peel garlic for Guo? If there was really blood, Guo would definitely despise it. He could only change it. X767E, and X9540, and X4E00, and X4E0B, and X201C. Quick crossover, female supporting character, calm down in X722A, and X4E66, and X5C4B, and X201D, and X6700, and X65B0, and X7AE0, and X8282, and X7B2C, and X4E00, and X65F6, and X95F4, and X514D, and X8D39, and X9605, and X8BFB, and X3002, and X3002, peak. Chapter 1907. Guo, this is my elder brother. Gu Jusi put the dagger and garlic aside. Tanghua had already brought him some water to wash his hands. At the same time, she asked Tang Bai to invite the old man in. The old man's eyes were also sizing up Tanghua. Originally, he did not have much hope. The main reason was that his little Jew liked her and they could not object. It was better than being a monk. Now that he saw the real person, he dispelled all his previous thoughts. A woman who could establish the Tang embroidery shop was indeed not ordinary. Not only was she talented, but she also had good looks. If she dressed up a little and walked out, people would probably think that she was a noble lady from the capital. But he felt that this woman was much better than the noble ladies in the capital. He also had a faint intuition that she was skilled. Her steps were calm, steady, and light. Every step was almost the same. Unless one practiced martial arts for a long time, very few people could do this. He guessed wrong about this. Tanghua's soul was strong. What she learned was already engraved in her soul. This body did not know martial arts, but as long as she had the heart and practiced a little, she could indeed compete with the martial arts experts in the mortal world. The old man observed Tanghua for a while and came to a conclusion. This lady's eyes were clear, but he could not see through them at a glance. It could be seen that she was clever and had her own shrewdness. She was not a person who was full of bad intentions. When Tanghua and Gu Jusi interacted, he also found that this lady always looked at his little Jew with a smile. There was a faint doting look in her eyes. He almost sprained his waist. So, little Jew was kidnapped like this? Elder brother, this is Guo. Gu Jusi stood beside Tanghua and grabbed Tanghua's hand. I have already promised Guo that I will marry into her family in the future. Elder brother, you and second brother can't object. Actually, it's useless to object. I am informing you of this news. This is also considered a lifelong event. I also want to tell Guo everything about me. The old man was so angry that he laughed. You are acting first and reporting later. What can I and second brother do? Are you really willing to let your younger brother become a monk? Gu Jusi pursed her lips and did not speak. Wasn't it because they always sent him portraits of all kinds of women and annoyed him? Otherwise, who would be willing to become a monk? After knowing Guo, he would be a fool to become a monk again. How great would it be to live a prosperous life in the family Tang village with Guo? Lin Yan, go wash the vegetables with the housekeeper. Big brother, if there's anything, let's have a meal first. Gu Jusi let go of Tanghua's hand. Guo, I'll go chop some firewood. You can cook later, and I'll start the fire. Old man, could it be that his little brother's body has been taken over by a wandering ghost? But he didn't stop her. It was really rare to see Little Nine being so proactive. Little Nine chopping firewood? I've never seen him before. He understood that Little Nine was telling him how important this young lady was to the other party, and that he should be careful. Actually, no matter how important proof was, there was no need to chop firewood. After the old man had a delicious lunch, he decided to take back his words. If he could eat such delicious food every meal, and Little Nine liked to chop firewood, then he would chop firewood. As the big brother, he had no objections. Wasn't it just chopping firewood? It wasn't a big deal, and it could even strengthen his body. After lunch, the few of them sat down in the house. X767E, and X9540, and X4E00, and X4E0B, and X201C. Quick crossover, female supporting character, calm down in X722A, and X4E66, and X5C4B, and X201D, and X6700, and X65B0, and X7AE0, and X8282, and X7B2C, and X4E00, and X65F6, and X95F4, and X514D, and X8D39, and X9605, and X8BFB, and X3002, and X3002, peak. Chapter 1908. Actually, there was someone in the house who was behaving strangely. Back and forth, he kept his head down and didn't speak much. Who was this person? Who else could it be other than Tangbai? The moment the old man stepped into the courtyard, Guojioga was stunned in front of the embroidery rack. She did not know what to do. She had seen this person in her previous life. Even though it was only once, she still remembered him clearly. Compared to when she had just been reborn, she was much calmer now. She was surprised at first, but she chose to remain silent and be invisible. When she heard Gujusi call him Big Brother, she guessed Gujusi's identity. So the mysterious little prince in her previous life was Gujusi? Anyway, she had never seen Gujusi before she died. She only heard that Gujusi was a restless person who liked to travel. She did not know anything else. Miss Guo, you must have guessed that little Ju's identity is not ordinary, right? The old man said with a smile. At the same time, he introduced himself. I am Gu Ronghe. Since we will be family in the future, and little Ju is determined to marry into your family, you can call me Big Brother in the future. He was not a scholar. Even though he was in a high position, he did not like to follow any rules in the wilderness. He liked straightforward things and straightforward people. He didn't like to beat around the bush like the people in the imperial court. Tangwa nodded. I guessed a little. The system was a bad woman. She had guessed Gujusi's identity the moment she knew his name. What did she mean by guessing a little? Hypocritical. Gu is the surname of the Yu Kingdom, Gu Ronghe said. The current emperor is my second brother. Little Ju is our younger brother. We are blood brothers. Little Ju was born last. There is a big age gap between us. Actually, he is not that old. He is not even 30 years old. Gujusi added. The reason why my big brother looks so old is because the Yu Kingdom was not peaceful many years ago. In order to stabilize the borders and prevent other countries from invading, he started fighting when he was a teenager. He often lived in the wilderness. The conditions were very difficult. He was often injured and his body was damaged. That is why his hair is white, and he looks like an old man in his 60s. If it weren't for those things, Big Brother would look younger, Gujusi added. The person he respected the most in his heart was his big brother. It could be said that the current stability of the Yu nation was all thanks to his big brother. When his mother was pregnant with his second brother, she was framed and poisoned, so her health wasn't good. There was no way for him to participate in these things. He could only do things that used his brain. On the other hand, he was much luckier. Although Imperial Father passed away when Imperial Mother was pregnant with him, with eldest brother and second brother holding the fort, there was no miscarriage and second brother successfully ascended the throne. He was bestowed the title of king when he was born and lived the best life. No other prince lived a better life than him. Big brother and second brother had suffered all the hardships. They didn't want him to suffer, so it was inevitable that they would spoil him a little more. Big brother, don't worry. When Nine comes to my house in the future, I will treat him well. I won't bully him. Tangwa said. Gu Ronghe felt that she shouldn't have said that. Gujusi's ears turned red. Big brother, did you hear that? Gua treats me very well. I heard that Big Brother has internal injuries. I accidentally found a set of medical books here. It's a pity that I don't study medicine and don't understand the profoundness of it. There are many medical books in a thick wooden box. Big Brother's status is not ordinary. There are many capable people under him. Maybe they can research something. Tangwa turned around and carried out a wooden box. She had already thought about it. Gu Ronghe and the current emperor had to live well. They definitely couldn't die early because of physical injuries. If they took the medical books here to research, they would definitely be able to extend their lives and treat internal injuries. Even if they were poisoned in the womb, they would be able to treat it. She wanted Su Machen's people to wait until the flowers wilted. She wanted the emperor and Gu Ronghe to still be in high spirits, as if they could live for another 100 years. Just thinking about it made her a little excited. The system was bad. However, Gu Jusi should be very happy. The great host probably didn't say that she took out so many books because of Gu Jusi. She wanted to chat with more like-minded people. Hurry up and change into a female supporting character. Calm down. Look, talk about life. Chapter 1909. Gu Ronghe was a little surprised. At first, he did not pay much attention to it. How could he find a medical book in this wilderness? But when Tanghua handed him a medical book to read, he took a few glances at it and became serious. It was said that a long illness became a doctor. He could understand medical books. Although he didn't have a deep understanding of it, he could still distinguish between a good medical book and a fake one. Big brother, these medical books fell into my hands by accident. They are useless. You should be able to use them. A Jew came to my house. I can't just do nothing. Gu Jusi was a little embarrassed. But the way Guo looked at him made him very happy. Although many men couldn't accept being loved and spoiled by a woman in such an obvious way, many men couldn't accept it. But he did not care. He wanted Guo to only have eyes for him and think of him. The most beautiful smile belonged to him. A man needed to prove his ability. He did not need to be strong in every aspect and suppress a woman. He did not think that he was weak. He just liked the feeling of admitting defeat in front of Guo. If Guo needed it, he could instantly stand in front of her and block some of the thorns for her, protecting her from harm. He could also help Guo do many things, such as peeling garlic, chopping firewood, and drawing clothes that men liked. In any case, he could do whatever Guo needed. Gu Jusi saw Gu Ronghe looking at the medical book with a serious face. He was a little happy. Since his big brother was so serious, the medical book must be useful. He saw some joy in his big brother's eyes. It meant that it was useful. Because his big brother joined the war when he was a teenager, he lived in the open and was exposed to the sun and rain. There were countless internal injuries on his body. Now, he was only in his 40s and looked like a white-haired old man. The imperial doctors said that he could live to 50 at most. It was already a long life. As for his second brother, he was poisoned in the womb and his body was weak. He was only 3 years younger than his big brother. He was in his early 40s and his body was getting worse day by day. The imperial doctors said that he could not live to 50. He had traveled to many places and found countless traveling doctors, but they could not do anything. His big brother and second brother told him not to worry. This was life. They would protect Yu country until they died. As for who the next Yu kingdom would be handed over to, it would depend on the abilities of the people under him. But they would leave him a way out and ensure that he would not be harmed. The two of them did not wish to restrain Gu Jusi, who did not like these kinds of battles. After all, Gu Jusi did not like these battles. He liked mountains and rivers, good food, and quiet places, so they tried their best to satisfy his wishes. After wandering around for so many years, Gu Jusi finally stopped at Family Tang village for some reason. Originally, he had planned to leave one day. Later, when he accidentally heard that Tanghua was going to do a big business to buy Luo-kun, he really stopped. Brother, are medical books useful? Of course, he was happy that big brother and second brother could live longer. It's useful. I'll get someone to send it back as soon as possible for your second brother's imperial physicians to take a look. Gu Ronghe quickly flipped through several books. He could not hide the excitement in his heart. Not only were there books for internal injuries, but there were also books for nursing the body. Even if it was poison in the fetus, there were also ways to cure it. There was also a book for prolonging one's life. There was even a book for nursing the body. Gu Ronghe borrowed the book from Tanghua's desk and copied it down. Quick, female supporting character. Calm down, want to chat with more like-minded people. Quick, female supporting character. Calm down. Look, talk about life. Find confidence. Chapter 1910. Gu Rongha was shocked. He did not think about why Tangwa gave him these things. Whether she did it intentionally or not, it was good for him. Besides, they were a family now. This was enough to prove that she really liked his little Gio. Little Gio was indeed his brother. He had good taste. Tangbai was depressed. When did she get the medical book? Sure enough, she did not know her sister well. Gu Rongha had already memorized the book after copying it. He put the book he copied in a wooden box and planned to ask his confidant to send it back to the palace for the emperor to practice. As for the original book, he handed it to Tangwa and said, "This is a good martial art that can prolong your life. Although you won't become a martial arts master after practicing it, it has a very good effect on your body. Both men and women can practice it. So it's a martial arts book." Tangwa pretended to be surprised and put it away. "Thank you for your reminder, big brother." Tangwa took the book and put it in a box. "I'll ask my father and brothers to practice it someday." She looked at Tangbai. "Abai, you have to practice it too." Tangbai nodded quickly. "Okay." Although she would not become a master of martial arts, Tangbai was willing to suffer as long as she could become stronger. Gu Rongha looked at Tangwa's agile steps and remembered her surprised look just now. She was so good at acting. He really could not tell whether she was acting deliberately or she did not know that she had exposed herself. He did not think at all and concluded that she was acting deliberately. Why was it so easy for her to expose her differences? Gu Rongha pondered. There were two reasons. First, she was a fool. Second, she was a master of martial arts who was not afraid of anything. She did not care what it would do to her if she exposed herself. In his heart, Tangwa was the second kind of person. If it was his second brother, he would be worried about this matter again. If he did not know who Tangwa was, he would not be able to sleep and eat well. He must find out the truth. He was different. No matter who she was, his little Gio was going to marry into her family. He believed in his own eyes. This woman was true to his little Gio. Even taking out those medical books, he suspected that the other party knew something and had prepared them in advance. Otherwise, how could it be so suitable? And what they took out was exactly what they needed. When Gu Rongha arrived at Family Tang village, he saw that the people here were simple and honest. Everyone who came and went had plain smiles on their faces. The villagers knew that he was Gu Juxi's elder brother, so he came here to deliver things and discuss with Tang Jindo about Gu Juxi marrying into the family. The majestic aura he exuded was indeed a little frightening. However, after talking to him, he felt that the other party was approachable and was quite forthright. He was very liked by the villagers. This was especially so after knowing that the other party had brought dozens of carts of goods over. This was enough to show that the other party took this matter very seriously. Gu Rongha walked around the village with his men. He pondered for a while and felt that the family Tang house and Gu Juxi's house were too small. He planned to talk to Tang Jindo about building a house. Tang Jindo also knew about Gu Juxi's real identity. He was almost scared to death. At first, he thought that it was a rich young master from the capital. He did not expect it to be the mysterious little prince. At first, he wondered why the name Gu Rongha sounded so familiar. Later, he remembered that it was the warlord of the Yu Kingdom. Hurry up, and we're the second female lead. Calm down. If you want to hawk with more like-minded people, hurry up, and we're the second female lead. Calm down. Look, talk about life. Find a confidant. Chapter 1911. At that time, Tang Jindo was so excited that he wanted to kneel down. The warlord. A few decades ago, the Yu Kingdom was in turmoil. If not for the warlord, how could ordinary people like them live such a good life? His Guo was really capable. She actually let the warlord's younger brother marry into their family. More importantly, the warlord was not angry. He even agreed. Building a house was a piece of cake. That was his family's job. He did not expect Gu Rongha to find so many people to help build the house. The furnishings in the house, some objects, and all the materials needed to build the house were all prepared by someone. With Gu Rongha's help, they could build whatever they wanted to build and how high they wanted to build the house. After all, this was where the little prince would live in the future. Who would dare to say that they did not follow the rules? Tangwa gave the book to the whole family to practice. Everyone had to live for a long, long time. She even calculated how long she could live in this world. The family Tang incident happened when the original owner was 15 years old. When she met Tangbai again, she was 30 years old. She spent 15 years trying to take revenge, but in the end, she died without success. Therefore, the original owner was 45 years old when she died. In addition, the host could live for another 20 years in this world. She could live to 65 years old. Tangwa smiled and said, "That's enough." 65 years old. In ancient times, the average age was 45 years old. It's considered a long life. Gu Rongha seemed to want to build his home here. The huge and luxurious house took half a year to build. The villagers of the family Tang village were not fools. They even saw the county magistrate come. They knew that Gu Jusi's family was not simple. The person who Gu Jusi called Big Brother and the housekeeper called Master was not a simple person. The old man who had some experience felt that Gu Rongha must have killed many people. His murderous aura could not be completely hidden even if he tried to hide it. However, he was full of righteousness and was polite to them. He was obviously not a bad person. In less than 3 months, the imperial physicians were able to come up with a conclusion after studying the medical books. Currently, they were busy helping the emperor and Gu Rongha recuperate. After a few months, both of their bodies had improved. Coupled with the life-prolonging cultivation technique, both of them were a head younger. The white-haired Gu Rongha had black hair on his scalp. Gu Jusi was very happy when he heard about this. Once, when he went to the stream with Tang Gua, he could not control himself and hugged Tang Gua's waist. He said that he was really happy and grateful to her. Tang Gua said in a joking tone, "Jiao, when are you going to marry me?" Gu Jusi was a little embarrassed at that time. Although she looked calm, her ears were so red that they were almost transparent. "Jiu, I've helped me Gu Jiu. Big brother," she said. "Your big brother. Your big brother," she said. "Your big brother. Then, don't you think you should repay me with your body?" After being asked twice, Gu Jusi finally said, "I'll marry you whenever you want, Gua." He was used to being shameless. In front of the girl he liked, being shameless was nothing. He hugged Tang Gua's waist and said softly, "Jiao, your ears are so red. Are you shy?" Gu Jusi said seriously, "Gua, you're wrong. I'm just excited. I want to chat with more like-minded people. Hurry up and change into a female supporting character. Calm down. Look, talk about life." Chapter 1912. I see people blushing when they're excited. Jiao, you're so weird. Only your ears turn red when you're excited. Gu Jusi held Tang Gua's hand. He knew that she was teasing him, but he was still happy. "I'm different from those people. Let's get married. The house has been built. I can't wait to marry into your family. Now, everyone knows that I, Gu Jusi, am going to marry into Gua Er's family. Now that everything is ready, we must hold a lively wedding, right?" "System, Gu Jusi, you're shameless." "Okay." Gu Jusi was so happy that he almost went crazy when he heard Tang Gua agree. He bent down and carried Tang Gua on his back. Then, he ran quickly in the mountains. He was good at martial arts. When he ran, there was wind behind him. His feet touched the ground lightly as if he was flying. Gu Jusi decided that after they got married, he would run in the mountains with Guo on his back if he had time. It was a very happy thing. Little Jiu, Gu Rongha, the butler, and Lin Yan stood somewhere and watched Gu Jusi run happily with Tang Gua on his back. They couldn't help but laugh. He was so quiet when he was young. Everything he did was serious. It's rare to see him smile. I didn't expect him to be so lively one day. The butler shook his head helplessly. Wasn't he so happy that he was going to marry a wife? Ever since he met Miss Guo, his master had not been normal for a day. Lin Yan didn't understand what was the point of running in the mountains with a girl on his back. It was more interesting to practice swordsmanship in the mountains. "First master, good news is coming," the butler said. Gu Rongha nodded. "It's a pity that second master can't come. When little Jiao and I confirm it, I'll report this matter and give second master some good things to make him happy." Gu Rongha was full of smiles when he talked about the current situation. Second master's sons, the officials in the capital, and those young masters all think that second master and I won't live long. They're making a fuss. If they know that second master and I might live longer than they think, I wonder what their expressions will be." The butler smiled and said, "That depends on who can hold it in and who can't." Gu Rongha nodded. "That's right. If you can't hold it in, you'll rebel. Those who rebel won't stand a chance." If he could endure it, then there was a chance of success. It all depended on who was more favored by second brother. Sitting in that position, they didn't need to be soft-hearted and merciful. The ruler of your country had to be someone who could control the overall situation, understand the current situation, be able to endure and be ruthless, and also be tolerant. He couldn't be too cruel, but he couldn't be too merciful either. Previously, due to the influence of second brother and his health, they were eager to choose a satisfactory candidate. Now, according to the current prescription, he and second brother could live for another 40 years without a problem. It was really possible for them to live to 100 years old. Then he would take his time to pick. Second brother's current son was not good enough, so he would have to work harder and have more children. In the end, he would be able to pick out the best successor. Tanghua and Gu Jusi were finally married. Gu Jusi also married into Tanghua's family in front of the entire village. Tang Bai stood at the side and silently looked at Gu Jusi, who was grinning from ear to ear. Then, she looked at her sister's happy smile and couldn't help but laugh. "Hurry up, and we're the second female lead. Calm down. Want to talk with more like-minded people? Hurry up, and we're the second female lead. Calm down. Look, talk about life. Find a confidant." Chapter 1913. She had sewn her sister's dowry stitch by stitch. The patterns on it had also been embroidered by her. Although she could not compare to her sister's skills, she had brought out the highest level of her life. She might not be able to make a second set of such wedding clothes in her life. At this moment, Tang Bai did not reject Gu Jusi at all. Prince Xiaoyao, who had been playing with the mountains and rivers, was willing to marry into her sister's family. He was so sincere. What reason did she have to dislike him? The royal family had really given her sister enough face. The warlord had personally presided over the wedding. Today, he had even issued a secret edict to grant the marriage. He had also given the Tang embroidery shop a plaque with the words, #1 embroidery shop in your country. Today, he had even given Qingning County to Gu Jusi. What was this? This was a huge face. In the future, this place would be her sister and Gu Jusi's territory. They could do whatever they wanted. She had heard her sister mention that today, she had also been given a gold medal. This thing was not only a gold medal to avoid death, but also a gold medal to not kneel before anyone. Of course, she knew that this gold medal was not only because of Gu Jusi. It was most likely related to the medical books in the box. In any case, she did not have to worry about the safety of Family Tang Village and her family now. This was her brother-in-law and sister's place. They could also openly raise more experts. However, there was still a knot in her heart that could not be untied when it came to Su Machin. After the marriage, Gu Jusi would be the son-in-law of the Family Tang Village. What made Gu Jusi satisfied was that his sister-in-law, Tang Bai, who did not like him, was finally willing to call him brother-in-law. There was no hostility from before. Life in the Family Tang Village did not change much. But for Gu Jusi, it changed a lot. At night, he could fall asleep with a fragrant girl in his arms. When he woke up and opened his eyes, the person lying in his arms was still his fragrant wife. Listening to the cicadas outside the window, he looked at the girl sleeping soundly in his arms. He felt that his life was really like that of a god. The flaw in his heart had already been mended. It turned out that the girl in his arms was the missing part of his heart. A Jew. Tanghua opened her eyes and saw Gu Jusi staring at her, so she called out. Gu Jusi quickly responded and kissed her on the forehead. "Guer, are you awake?" "Yes. Do you want to get up?" Tanghua looked out of the window. "The sun is out. Let's get up." Gu Jusi let go of Tanghua and hurriedly went down. She pulled Tanghua up and picked up the clothes next to her. With a smile, she said, "Wife, let me help you dress, okay? Come." Tanghua stood up with him and stood in front of him, spreading her arms. Gu Jusi personally helped Tangwa put on her clothes. Tangwa's current clothes were all made of silk. In any case, she could sit down and count the money now. After putting on her clothes, Gu Jusi asked her to sit down and put on her shoes and socks. A Jew. Why are you staring at my feet? Gua Er's feet are so beautiful. They are exquisite and small, as white as jade. Her 10 fingers are so obedient. The system hit it. It was simply unbearable. Let's not talk about this. Hurry up and put on your clothes. You still have to put on rouge. Oh right, the family Tang village was also making rouge and face powder. The person who took charge of this matter was naturally Tangwa. Hurry up and put on your clothes. Calm down. You want to talk to more like-minded people. Hurry up and put on your clothes. Calm down. Look, talk about life. Find a confidant. Chapter 1914. However, the people who worked were all villagers. She was still the owner of the cattle. There was no need to limit the amount of consumables like rouge and face powder. Nowadays, all the caravans in your country liked to come to Family Tang village to buy goods. Whoever arrived first could get the goods. The rouge and face powder did not accept pre-orders. When Tangwa sat in front of the bronze mirror and combed her hair, Gu Jusi hurriedly dressed himself in the blink of an eye. He turned around and wanted to snatch the wooden comb from Tangwa's hand to comb her hair. Tangwa turned around and saw that his belt was tied crookedly. She could not help but laugh. She put down the wooden comb and stood up to tie his belt for him. Gu Jusi smiled foolishly, revealing a row of neat and white teeth. When Tangwa was tying his belt for him, he put his hand behind her head and picked up the wooden comb to comb her hair. Gua sit down. I'll comb your hair for you. After saying that, he added, when you're done, you can comb my hair for me. Ajia, when I saw you last time, you were a cold and aloof young master, Tangwa said with a smile. I realize that I've been deceived. You're so thick-skinned. In front of Gua I have to be true to myself. Gua also said that when we met last time, we didn't seem to be familiar with each other. In front of strangers, I have to pretend to be cold and aloof. After I met Gua I became true to myself. System. So this is the reason why you're so shameless in front of the great host? What a good excuse. In front of the great host, I have to be true to myself. It's too realistic. The system really wanted to get out and pretend that it did not exist. For the past 2 days, it had been eating dog food. It really felt suffocating. Based on the way the two of them interacted, it suspected that it would be tormented like this every day in this world. The two of them finally finished being lovey-dovey and walked out of the house together. After a while, the two of them saw Tang Bai, who was practicing martial arts with Lin Yin in the courtyard. That's right. Tang Bai had started practicing martial arts. Not only did she practice martial arts, but Tangwa also hired many teachers to teach her all kinds of things. Tang Bai was happy. This was exactly what she was worried about. Now that she had her teacher's guidance, she could slowly reveal what she had once known. She did not intend to reveal her identity as a reincarnator. If it was exposed, it would only bring trouble to her family. If someone with ulterior motives found out, it would be troublesome. Thus, she decided to keep this secret for the rest of her life. Previously, after she had practiced the life-prolonging cultivation technique, she had not expected that her sister would propose to have someone teach her martial arts. Her sister said that since she was very timid, she should practice martial arts to strengthen her body and protect herself. When Tang Bai heard this, she almost cried tears of joy. She wanted to learn martial arts. Su Machen's kung fu was not bad. She even had a goal in her heart, which was to surpass Su Machen. If she met Su Machen again in the future, she would not be afraid. Gu Rongha's men were all masters. Tangwa explained her purpose in coming here. She wanted to choose one to teach Tang Bai martial arts. He asked him who had the best kung fu among them and asked him to be Tang Bai's husband. Gu Rongha said, although these men are all masters, they are not inferior to Lin Yin. That boy is very talented and his kung fu is top-notch. Otherwise, we would not be at ease. Every time little Jiu comes, she only takes him and the housekeeper. Thank you, big brother. Then I will ask Lin Yin if he is willing. Gu Ronghe could not help but laugh. Sister-in-law has already asked. Would Lin Yin dare to refuse? In order to be by little Jiu's side, Lin Yin had paid a price. He had beaten up all his fellow martial artists and offended them. Just like that, Lin Yin became Tang Bai's husband to teach her kung fu. Now, Tanghua and Gu Jusi were holding hands and looking at Lin Yan's stern face as he taught Tang Bai some basic skills. You are really too stupid, Lin Yin said. Tang Bai whispered, I will work hard. Watch how I do it. Lin Yin walked to the side and did a very standard movement. Tang Bai watched carefully. When Lin Yin stood up straight, he asked her if she saw it clearly. She nodded. Yes, I saw it clearly. Then give it a try. Tang Bai hurriedly did as she was told. She was still lacking. Lin Yin frowned. Barely. I can practice more. Lin Yan's brows relaxed. Then let's practice this 200 times today. Tang Bai nodded seriously. Okay. Tanghua was speechless. Gu Jusi was embarrassed. Hurry up and we're the second female lead. Calm down. Want to talk with more like-minded people. Hurry up and we're the second female lead. Calm down. Look, talk about life. Find a confidant. Chapter 1915. Not long after Tanghua and Gu Jusi got married, Tang Chongqing became the top scholar. The whole family Tang village was very happy. Tang Chongqing became the top scholar. This made Tang Jindo, who failed the county examination, have no regrets at all. His son did what he failed to do, and it was 100 times better than what he did. Becoming the top scholar was something that brought honor to his ancestors. It was said that many people wanted to win Tang Chongqing over to their side in the capital. Family Tang village was too far away from the capital. The relationship between Tanghua and Gu Jusi was deliberately hidden by the emperor and Gu Ronghe so that they could live a peaceful life. Therefore, those people did not know that Tang Chongqing could have relied on his connections to make a living. Any one of the people behind him could scare people half to death. Until now, the people in the capital only knew that Tang Chongqing was the third brother of the owner of family Tang village's Tang embroidery shop. Many people knew that Tanghua was looking for a son-in-law, but they did not know that Tanghua's husband was the mysterious little prince. Sumachin, on the other hand, knew that when those people tried their best to win over Tang Chongqing, they even used both kindness and authority. His legs and stomach were trembling. As long as Zhan Wang was still around, he could not provoke anyone related to the little prince. Even if Zhan Wang was no longer around, he would probably leave a backup plan for the little prince. The little prince was still a person who could not be provoked. This Tang Chongqing should be left to others. He could not stand it. Sumachin was not so kind as to tell other competitors not to bully Tang Chongqing. He could not wait for those people to bully Tang Chongqing. When Tanghua found out, she would definitely not let it go. She would tell the little prince to back her up. Sumachin did not wait for that day, because not long after, Tang Chongqing was summoned to the palace by the emperor and personally made an official. Not only that, he often called Tang Chongqing over to accompany him. At this moment, everyone understood that Tang Chongqing had become the emperor's favorite and could not be treated the same as before. Chongqing, you have a good sister. Tang Chongqing was neither servile nor overbearing as he replied, Your Majesty, my younger sister has always been doing well. The emperor was amused. All right, I know. None of you siblings are simple. Tang Chongqing thought to himself, It's obviously Your Majesty who thinks too much. Actually, their family was really simple. However, the emperor's heart was hard to fathom. Even though they had a different relationship, Tang Chongqing had never thought of becoming arrogant because he was favored by the emperor. Whatever the emperor wanted him to do, he would do it properly. He didn't become an official for the sake of promotion and wealth. Speaking of wealth, it would be better to help manage the embroidery shop. His family was not short of money. He took the imperial examination for 2 reasons. Firstly, he liked learning and wanted to try the feeling of being in the court. Secondly, he wanted to fulfill Tang Jindo's wish. Now that he had fulfilled both of his wishes, his family did not need him anymore. Moreover, his brother-in-law was the little prince. He still had to work hard as an official. It could also add some weight to his position. If there was any movement in the future, he would be able to know immediately. Before this, he had thought about it. No matter who tried to rope him in, he would not do it. He would listen to the emperor. According to Guo, it would not be a problem for the emperor to live for another 30 or 40 years. When the next emperor ascended the throne, he would be able to retire and return to his hometown. After this day, the emperor also found that no matter what was discussed in the court, Tang Chongqing really dared to say it. Many people opposed his opinion. This Tang Chongqing dared to stand against the opinions of the masses and support him. Quickly, where the supporting female lead, calm down. Want to talk with more like-minded people? Quickly, where the supporting female lead, calm down. Look, talk about life. Find a confidant. Chapter 1916. If Tang Chongqing did not agree with him, this young man would keep quiet and not say a word. He was not like the other straightforward officials who would embarrass him in the court. After the court session, this lad would sneakily give him a suggestion that he thought was good. He would not point out the mistakes in his method. The emperor liked Tang Chongqing's way of doing things very much. He was the emperor, and he did have a group of straightforward officials under him. But he did not want to face the criticism of a group of straightforward officials every day. People like Tang Chongqing, who secretly gave him suggestions, did not embarrass him and did not point out his mistakes. He only needed to suggest a better method. As the emperor, he was not a fool. If there was a better method, how could he not use it? After the emperor's observation, he found that Tang Chongqing was different from other officials. This young man was not here for promotion and wealth. Thinking about his sister-in-law, who had so many big businesses, Tang Chongqing did not need to be caught for some small profits. This young man was also generous. Even if he had offended many people, he could usually win over a bunch of friends with a meal, a small gift, some embroidered handkerchiefs, rouge, and face powder from the embroidery shop. This young man was also very calm. Even if he had a good relationship with many people, he would never get too close to them. Seeing this, the emperor was relieved. As the emperor, he subconsciously thought more, even if he knew that Tang Chongqing would not do those things. Gradually, no matter where the emperor went, he liked to take Tang Chongqing with him. At this time, he really trusted Tang Chongqing. At this time, Tang Chongqing also became the emperor's favorite person. Tangwa knew everything about Tang Chongqing. To be exact, Tang Chongqing even asked her how to get along with the emperor. As for why he asked her, it might be because Tang Chongqing was the smartest person in the Tang family. Not long after Tangwa got married, Tang Indo came back. It's really a pity that we didn't make it in time for Guo'er's wedding. Tang Indo had brought a wedding gift for Tangwa from the capital. Fatigue could be seen on his face. Compared to half a year ago, Tang Indo looked much older. Tangwa thanked Tang Indo and asked, "Second uncle, have you found Xiangqiang?" "Found it." Tang Indo's face was full of helplessness at the mention of Tang Chong. "She didn't want to come back with me and insisted on getting involved in such a complicated matter." Tang Jindo couldn't help but ask, "What's going on?" Tang Indo sighed and explained the matter in detail. He also knew Su Machen's identity. Back then, Su Machen left with Tang Chong. Things went smoothly. Soon, he found evidence of him being framed and cleared his name. Not only that, he had also taken his revenge and killed the person who had harmed his sister and mother. However, Su Machen didn't stop, because the real culprit who had caused the death of his mother and sister was a certain prince who wanted to marry her. It would take a long time for him to achieve his true victory. Perhaps only by pushing the person he supported to the throne would he be able to take his revenge. Of course, Tang Indo didn't know this. He only knew that Su Machen was the Marquis's son. Later, the injustice was cleared, and the emperor ordered him to inherit the Marquis's family. In order to compensate him, the emperor didn't demote him. Therefore, Su Machen should be the Marquis now. Hurry up and wear the supporting female lead. Calm down. Want to talk with more like-minded people? Hurry up and wear the supporting female lead. Calm down. Look, talk about life. Find confidence. Chapter 1917. Tang Indo happened to see Tang Chong appear in the mansion once, so he found her and tried to persuade her to go back. Unfortunately, Tang Chong was unwilling, and this made Tang Indo very angry. Although Su Machin was polite to him, he did not think that he was a good person. He had traveled extensively and knew many people. He always felt that Tang Chong would not have a good ending with Su Machin. In the end, Su Machin seemed to want to show his love for Tang Chong and bought a shop in a good location in the capital. Did second uncle agree? Tangwa asked when she heard this. Tang Indo sighed helplessly. I didn't want to agree. Although I love money very much, my life is worth it. His purpose in life was to earn money, and he had always wanted to be rich. But Guo-er, now that you have realized this wish, I am very happy. Xiang is so insensible, and I don't know what is wrong with Su Machin. I always feel that he is up to no good. Then second uncle, you have agreed to settle down in the capital? Tang Indo shook his head. Not really. I just want to stay there and watch in case Xiang is taken advantage of. At that time, if something really happens, I can still take her away. In the end, he thought that Su Machin could not give Tang Chong a good future. Earning money was important, but so was his daughter. He could earn money at any time. He only had one daughter. He was a businessman, but he was also a father. The capital is a dangerous place. Second uncle, you must be careful. Tangwa did not persuade Tang Indo not to go. Tang Chong was his daughter. If he did not stay there to watch over her, she would be anxious all day. When the time came, Tang Chongqing would be enough to watch over Tang Indo. As for Tang Chong, it would depend on her fate. She was the one who wanted to go to the wolf's den. No one could be blamed if anything happened. Tang Indo nodded. I will. Then I may not come back often in the future. I will send someone to get the goods. Tang Indo came back this time partly because of this. Tangwa nodded. Then second uncle, find a trustworthy person and ask him to come back to get it. All the goods under Tangwa's name, unless someone came to buy them individually, were distributed and sold by the caravans themselves. Anyway, she wouldn't lose out. She wouldn't lose out no matter what price the other party could sell it for. The higher the price, the more benefits it would bring to her. In this era, there was no lack of fake goods. However, once fakes were exposed, they would be exposed very quickly. Tang Jindo did not try to persuade Tang Indo either. If he was in Tang Indo's position, his choice would be the same as Tang Indo. 3 days later, Tang Indo rushed to the capital with several carts of goods. Tangwa had never thought of going to the whirlpool in the capital city, or even getting involved in it. With her status, there was no need for that at all. Now that Gu Rongha and Gu Rongha were watching from the sidelines, what was the point of her joining in? Every day, Gu Rongha would chat with them about the funny things that happened in the capital when they had meals. Today, Gu Rongha didn't care about these things at all. As long as those people didn't cause too much of a ruckus, they could do as they pleased. For example, when the Lord Protector's family was framed, the Emperor chose to stand by and let them frame each other. It could be that he wanted to weaken their power. If Su Machin had the evidence, then he could reinstate him as the crown prince and let him inherit the Lord Protector's family. He wouldn't even be demoted. Hurry up and wear the supporting female lead. Calm down. If you want to hawk with more like-minded people, hurry up and wear the supporting female lead. Calm down. Look, talk about life. Find a confidant. Chapter 1918. After this series of actions, Su Machin would only hate the people who framed the Lord Protector's mansion. He would never blame the Emperor and would even be grateful to the Emperor. If Su Machin could not prove his innocence, he would not be able to prove his innocence. In the face of all the evidence, and he was not important to the Emperor could let Su Machin's opponent have his way and sentence Su Machin to death. This was the Emperor's way of thinking. Su Machin had no idea that he was just a cricket for others to play with. Crickets would only fight with crickets and would never think of fighting with people. Because people could kill a bunch of crickets with one step. Sister-in-law, you have a cousin named Tang Chong, right? Gu Rongha asked about Tang Chong during lunch one day. Tangwa nodded. Yes. Brother, do you have any news about Chong Chong? Gu Rongha smiled. Yes. Everyone in the capital city knows about Tang Chong. Tangwa wondered what Tang Chong had done to make Gu Rongha ask about her. It seems that you don't know. Sister-in-law doesn't pay attention to the news in the capital city at all. Gu Rongha was surprised. He thought that Tangwa would pay attention to the news there. Was he wrong? Gu Jusi held Tangwa's small hand under the table and squeezed it. She asked, "The entire Yu kingdom belongs to second brother. The capital is also under second brother's watch. Does Gua need to pay attention to these things? Big brother, hurry up and tell me what exactly happened. What kind of trouble did that cousin of yours cause?" Gu Rongha did not keep Gu Jusi in suspense. He found it funny to see Gu Jusi protecting Tangwa. He was just asking, "Don't be so protective." Sister-in-law was such a mysterious and powerful person. She had helped him and his second brother so much. She was also the person that Little Ju liked. Now she was his sister-in-law. What would he do? This little nine, now that he had married into the family, he was really like water that had been splashed out. He did not side with his elder brother at all. You know that the capital city is not peaceful these days. The second brother's sons were all staring at the seat under his butt. A few years ago, I don't know who spread the news that the imperial physician said that the second prince might not live past 50. Those little brats couldn't sit still and caused a ruckus for a few years. Who knows how many people who participated were tortured to death, but they still didn't learn from their mistakes and insisted on participating. Fame and fortune, high and mighty temples, wealth and splendor. No one can escape, Tangwa said. Gu Rongha nodded. Yes, birds die for food just as men die for money. You're right, sister-in-law. Your cousin seems to have something amazing in her hands that made Su Machin shine. Even second brother had to reward him. Chapter 1919. Before Tangwa could say anything, Gu Rongha continued. He has the recipe for making colored glaze. Later, someone found out that the recipe was provided by your cousin, Tang Chong. Oh, I see. Not only that, your cousin also came up with all kinds of wonderful ideas. Some of them seem to be fantastical, but some of them are useful. One of the items should be popular among the people of the Bai family in the country of Yu. Tangwa asked curiously, "What is it?" Soap. Tangwa was not surprised. Since the glass was made, soap would not be a problem. Speaking of which, Tang Chong had a good memory. Perhaps when she saw the time traveler shining in the novel, she secretly recited the process and recipe of some things that could be made in ancient times. Brother, what is soap? Gu Jusi asked. Is it good? How do I use it? Gu Rongha gave the butler a look. The butler quickly turned around and came back with 2 pieces of soap. Master, this can be used to wash clothes, hair, bathe, and even hands. I heard from the capital that Su Machin will come up with other uses later. He may add some other things to it. Gu Jusi held the soap and asked a lot of questions curiously. In the end, she asked Gu Rongha for more than half of it and gave it to Tangwa. Guer, wash your hair with this in the future. Brother, ask someone to keep an eye on it. If there are better things, send someone to get some. After a pause, Gu Jusi said, let Su Machin be for a while. After he gives us all the good things, I'll deal with him. Gu Rongha was speechless. His younger brother was no longer his younger brother. He only thought about his wife when he had good things. This elder brother of his had been tossed to God knows where long ago. What else could he do but spoil his own younger brother? Tangwa hoped that Tang Chong would be able to make more useful things. After all, she was a typical peasant and did not want to be so high profile. Now, the embroidery shop was enough to make rouge and face powder. Since Tang Chong had already taken out the glazed soap, she didn't need anything else. In fact, with Su Machin around, he would definitely dig out all the goods in Tang Chong's belly. Sometime later, Tangwa was lying on a deck chair under the grape trellis when she heard familiar footsteps approaching her. She did not need to open her eyes to know that it was Gu Jusi. 9. Gu Jusi stood in front of her, blocking everything. Tangwa called out to him. He lowered his head and kissed her forehead. He said softly, Guer, I brought you something good. Tangwa suddenly became energetic. Recently, Tang Chong had made a lot of good things. She had been waiting for them. What good stuff? Gwar, it's really good stuff this time. Gu Juicy carried Tangwa and sat on the recliner, letting her sit on his lap. At this moment, Tangwa noticed that there was a brocade box in his hand. It was as big as 2 palms. Gwar, the good stuff is inside. Gu Juicy's ears turned red as he placed the brocade box in Tangwa's hand. See for yourself. Tangwa opened the box. When she saw what was inside, she was slightly stunned. But she still asked, "What is this?" "This is female supporting lead. Calm down. Want to talk with more like-minded people? Female supporting lead. Calm down. Look, talk about life. Find a confidant." Chapter 1920. When the system saw what was in the brocade box, it almost went crazy with laughter. Ha ha, Gu Juicy was so cute. She was obviously embarrassed, but she still wanted to give this to Tangwa. This was for women's menstruation. Gu Juicy whispered that this thing was made based on Tangchong's idea. Wouldn't it be more convenient for Gua to look at it? Tangwa held back her laughter and accepted Gu Juicy's kindness. Later, Tangchong came up with many little things that were convenient for their daily life. But these things were not as good as the glass and soap. Sumachin used all kinds of methods to try to obtain more good things, but Tangchong only memorized a little at that time. She only memorized these things on a whim. If she had known that she would transmigrate, she would have tried her best to memorize more useful things. Sumachin looked at Tangchong and found that he could not get anything out of her, so he became much colder to her. The soap and glass alone were enough to make him shine and win the emperor's favor. Apart from some small things, he gave the soap and glass to the third prince, and the third prince gave them to the emperor. Of course, before that, they spent a lot of time experimenting with these 2 things. In his opinion, the third prince should be liked by the emperor with these 2 things. According to the third prince's recent reaction, the emperor treated him well and often summoned him to the palace to play chess. Tangchong could not get anything out of him, and Sumachin lost his patience. Looking at Tangchong's infatuated eyes every day, he felt a little nauseous. Finally, he did not have to face this woman every day. Tangchong soon felt that Sumachin was cold to her. Not only that, Sumachin did not intend to avoid those girls who admired him. He even chatted happily with those girls at the poetry festival. More importantly, the third prince intended to matchmake Sumachin with a girl who was the daughter of a court official. Sumachin did not refuse, and even seemed to want to marry her. At this moment, Tangchong could not stand it. She did not think too much and directly questioned Sumachin why he was meeting those girls, and why he wanted to marry the daughter of a court official. More importantly, the third prince said that he wanted to ask the emperor to grant a marriage between Sumachin and the court official's daughter. Wasn't this making her anxious? Sumachin faced Tangchong and explained, "Chong, I'm the only one left in the marquis residence. At this time, the third prince's great cause has yet to be accomplished. I married the Li family's young miss only because I wanted to rope in more power. I don't really like her. And you, in my heart, are very special. I know you don't want to be a concubine, and I don't plan on taking you as a concubine. As long as you are willing to wait, when the third prince succeeds, I will divorce Miss Li and marry you." Roping in power was true, but as for divorcing Miss Li and marrying Tangchong, that was just nonsense. If Tangchong was an older transmigrator, she might be able to understand. But she was still young. She was still in junior high school. As for Sumachin, she only recognized the person she knew. The Sumachin who would do anything for Tangbai. Among them, Sumachin was also introduced by the third prince, and in the end, he righteously refused for Tangbai's sake. Thinking of this, Tangchong was furious. "I don't care. If you want to marry someone, you can only marry me. No one else is allowed to marry you." She had worked so hard for so long. How could she let other women in to enjoy the fruits of her labor? "Sumachin, if you dare to marry another woman, I will make you regret it." X767E and X9540 and X4E00 and X4E0B and X201C. Quick crossover, female supporting character, calm down in X722A and x4e66, and x5c4b, and x201d, and x6700, and x65b0, and x7ae0, and x8282, and x7b2c, and x4e00, and x65f6, and x95f4, and x514d, and x8d39, and x9605, and x8bfb, and x3002, and x3002, peak. Chapter 1921. Chang-er, I hope you can understand me. Su Machun looked at Tang Chong's angry face and her current reputation. It was indeed different from before. She was an ant that could be crushed at any time. In fact, it was easy to kill Tang Chong unknowingly, but it would take a little effort. But he didn't want to take the risk. There were still many uses for Tang Chong. First, he wasn't sure if Tang Chong still had those strange things that were useful to him. Second, on the surface, he valued Tang Chong very much. If everyone saw that he liked Tang Chong, the enemy would think that Tang Chong was his weakness. Exposing this weakness on the surface to confuse the enemy might be of great use in the future. Thinking of this, Su Machun reflected in his heart. Recently, he was indeed too cold to Tang Chong. If someone heard the news, it wouldn't be good. Chang-er, I really have no choice but to marry Miss Li. The person I support is the third prince. If I don't listen to him, I won't be able to gain his trust. Looking at Tang Chong's confused look, Su Machun continued, You know that I have a deep blood feud. Only with the help of the third prince can I take revenge and kill the person who framed my sister and mother. Tang Chong of course understood this, but she still couldn't accept that Su Machun would marry Miss Li for this. In the novel, Su Machun would compromise to this extent. In the novel, Su Machun only had eyes for Tang Bai. Through this comparison, Tang Chong felt uncomfortable. Actually, I don't have to marry Miss Li, Su Machun sighed. The third prince is actually very afraid of me. It's all because of the things Chang-er took out. He gave me two choices. Either I marry Miss Li or I send you to his house. Tang Chong was stunned. Was there such a thing? She had always been comparing herself with the novel. In fact, this world had developed to this point and had long been separated. Everything was already confusing. It wasn't the plot she was familiar with at all. The reason why Tang Chong and Su Machun had such a deep affection for each other was because of the hardships they had gone through together during their escape. After she and Su Machun left, Su Machun had been preparing his troops for a long time. He had long confused the enemy and smoothly returned to the capital. With her advice, he was able to clear his name. Actually, there wasn't anything profound between the two of them. Tang Chong couldn't help but suspect that Su Machun's love for her couldn't compare to his love for Tang Bai. Do you really like me? For the first time, Tang Chong asked this question. Su Machun's face was full of smiles and affection. Of course I like you. Chang-er, if I didn't like you, why would I discuss these things with you? You've already handed over everything you know. If I was really a greedy person and you were useless to me, I would have kicked you away long ago. Why would I be so careful to talk to you about these things? Tang Chong reluctantly believed Su Machun's words. Then after you marry Miss Li, how will you treat her and me? I'll let Miss Li live alone in a courtyard and treat you the same as before. She's just an invisible person. You don't have to care about her. Before this, Su Machun had already thought about how to make the most of Tang Chiong. Vertex. Chapter 1922. Before, he really didn't think it through and treated Tang Chong coldly. It was mainly because her eyes were too infatuated, making him uncomfortable. Since he was young, he had met countless women who looked at him with such infatuated eyes. To be able to tolerate Tang Chong for so long, he was really reaching his limit. Before, Tang Chong could continuously take out good things, so he could still let her do whatever she wanted. Now that she couldn't take out the things, he lost his patience. But now, he had a new idea. He didn't care about that Miss Li at all. If he really didn't want to marry Miss Li, the third prince would never offend him and force him. After marrying Miss Li, he would instead treat Tang Chong well, letting everyone in the capital know that the person in the palm of his hand was Tang Chong. With this exposed weakness, he didn't know if his enemy would be happy. So, you married the Li family's young miss just to treat her as a decoration and put her in the mansion? Tang Chong asked in confusion. Su Machin nodded. Yes. He looked at Tang Chong affectionately, holding her face and kissing it. Because in my heart, there is only Chong-er. No one can come between us. Is Chong-er still so unhappy now? Being hugged by Su Machin, Tang Chong felt confused for the first time. Although she liked her male god very much, before she transmigrated, she dreamed of being hugged by her male god. She felt sorry for him and hoped that by his side, she would be the one to encourage him and help him. But just now, she found that Su Machin was a little different from the male god she thought he was. The infatuation she thought he had didn't seem to be with her. The shining points she used to like seemed to be slowly disappearing. Su Machin said that after marrying Miss Li, he put her in the palace as a decoration, and the person he really liked was her, Tang Chong. So if the one he liked was her, why did he marry Miss Li? After marrying Miss Li, he put her in the palace as a decoration, ignoring others. He obviously didn't like her, but still wanted to marry her? Wasn't this scum? Arimo, do you have a grudge against Miss Li? Tang Chong suddenly asked. Su Machin was a little stunned and asked, No, her father is the third prince's man. Chong-er, do you still mind? Does Miss Li agree to marry you? The third prince has already reported this matter to the emperor. It is possible that the imperial edict for the marriage will be issued soon. In front of the imperial edict, Miss Li will not object. Does she like you? If she doesn't like you, wouldn't she be forcing someone else? Su Machin thought that Tang Chong was really naive and ridiculous. As a woman of this vortex, wasn't she supposed to be used for marriage? Since they were young, they had lived a life of luxury. Now was the time to use them. Whether they were willing or not, whether they liked it or not, they had no right to object. Did Tang Chong really think that she could be with whoever she liked? He didn't know where she got those things in her head, but they definitely didn't belong to her. How could someone as naive as her come up with something like this? At first, he suspected Tang was family. But later, he thought that if Tang were really had those things, she would have already given them to the emperor since she was already the little prince's wife. How could Tang Chong have a chance? Chong-er, you have to believe me. Even if Miss Li marries in, you are still the most powerful person in the manor. She can't provoke you. Su Machin said. He still had things to deal with, so he let go of Tang Chong and left. The peak. Chapter 1923. Gwr. What are you looking at? Gu Jusi walked in and saw Tangwa flipping through something. It seemed to be a letter. Is it from the capital? It's a letter from second uncle. The third prince asked second brother to grant a marriage between Su Machin and Miss Li. Second uncle wrote back that Su Machin and Miss Li are married. Gu Jusi was surprised. Then second uncle is bringing cousin back? No. Second uncle complained that Changqiang is still unwilling to leave. He said that Su Machin marrying Miss Li is just a decoration. She is still the most important person in the Marquis's residence. Gu Jusi did not understand. If Su Machin really likes cousin, he wouldn't have married Miss Li. What is your cousin thinking all day? If a man really likes a woman, he can't bear to let her suffer in any way. As he spoke, Gu Jusi hugged Tangwa's waist and said shamelessly, for example, I, Gu Jusi, really like Gwr. I can't bear for Gwr to suffer a little. From the day I fell in love with you, I haven't looked at other girls. What a Jew means is that before you fell in love with me, you looked at other girls. Gu Jusi was speechless. Just like how a horse stumbles, people make mistakes. How could he say the wrong thing? No, Gwr, listen to me. In the past, I didn't know what a girl was. When second brother and big brother forced me to look at the portrait, I wanted to be a monk. Since I saw Gwr, I know what a girl is. What I mean is, because I like Gwr, no matter what girl floats in front of me, I can't see her. All right, a Jew, you don't have to explain. Gu Jusi heaved a sigh of relief when he heard that Tangwa believed him. What the hell? Didn't he just say something wrong? Why was his heart so nervous that it was about to jump out? He was afraid that she would be angry. In his mind, he even wondered if she would throw him away if she got angry. How strange. Then how is it now? Gu Juicy asked again. Tangwa said, Sumachan is indeed like what Tangchong said. Even when he married Miss Li, he didn't go to see her on the wedding night. He has always been with Tangchong. I don't know why, but the entire capital knows about this. Right now, everyone in the capital is talking about it. While laughing at Miss Li, she also said that Tangchong was a charming vixen. In short, none of them were good words. Second uncle almost fell ill from anger because of this. Third brother went to see second uncle. Compared to before, second uncle looked a lot older. The whole city knows about it. Gu Juicy narrowed her eyes. Guo, I'm afraid this matter isn't simple. Now that they are in a whirlpool, if Su Machin really cares about his cousin, why would he expose her to everyone, let everyone talk about her, and dote on her in such a high-profile way? Second uncle actually thought of it and told Xiang about it, but she refused to listen. Gu Juicy asked softly, Do you need my help? Or should I ask second brother to help? There's no need. How can I let you do such a thing? If he did it, wouldn't he be helping them out of their predicament? Xiang is so stubborn. What can we do? I already asked third brother to take care of second uncle. As for Xiang, she can do whatever she wants. Gu Juicy understood Tangwa's attitude, so she didn't say anything else. Even if his second brother was the emperor, there was no way to stop a woman from loving a man. If it wasn't for Tangwa, he wouldn't have wanted to meddle in other people's business. No matter what happened to Tangchong, she only had herself to blame. It was just that second uncle was so pitiful. He was already so old, but he still had to worry about her every day. Peak. Chapter 1924. Then Guo, I'll tell Big Brother to get someone to watch over her. If there's really no other choice, he'll save cousin's life so that second uncle won't be sad. How about that? Although he did not care about Tangchong's life and death, his Guo did not seem to care much either. However, Guo still seemed to care about second uncle. Other than loving money and occasionally being a little crafty, second uncle was actually very good to his own people. If Tangchong's life was saved, it could be considered a comfort to him, so that he would not be so sad. A Jew, you really understand me. Gu Juicy's heart warmed. I want to understand Guo better. I can't wait to be a roundworm in Guo's stomach. A roundworm is so ugly. A Jew, have you forgotten that I like good-looking people? Then I won't be a roundworm. He would just be a good-looking one. Should he ask the imperial physician for some prescription to maintain his youthful appearance? If he grew old and was not liked by Guo, wouldn't he cry himself to death? Guo, we've been married for so long. When can I bring you to see second brother? Second brother also wants to see you. Gu Juicy could feel that Tangwa did not want to go to the capital. Therefore, he had not mentioned it all along. However, after so long, Big Brother had settled down in the family Tang village. Second brother had written to him several times to ask him to bring Tangwa back to take a look. He said that he would definitely not let his imagination run wild and would not send people to investigate Tangwa. The letter said that he was pitiful. He said that he was already in such a miserable state as the emperor, but his younger brother still did not bring his sister-in-law back to see him. He was alone and was really lonely. Although it was not that exaggerated, Gu Juicy still wanted to go back and take a look. Second brother was more suspicious and liked to let his imagination run wild. There was no other way. He was the emperor. Ever since he was born and could think about problems, his brain was turning every day, thinking about how to protect his life and seek benefits for his side. This had already become a habit. If he did not think about it a day, he might die tomorrow. It was said that at that time, Big Brother, Second Brother, and Imperial Mother were surrounded by spies from the various palaces. Poisoning was very common. If he said the slightest wrong word, he could be used as an excuse. Therefore, his second brother liked to investigate everything in various ways. He would only be at ease when he found out the truth. This was also the reason why he had never brought Tangwa home. He was afraid that his second brother would scare her. Now that second brother had said it so many times, it should be true. He wouldn't investigate Tangwa anymore. He knew in his heart that Guo was very mysterious. He was different from the rest of the family Tang Club members. But he didn't pursue the matter. It was meaningless. He only cared about this person. Anytime, Tangwa replied with a smile. Do you need to be so polite when meeting your second brother? In the future, a Jew can tell me about such things. It's only right that I visit second brother from time to time. That day, Gu Jusi was very happy. 10 days later, the two set off for the capital. The two of them rode in the same carriage. The housekeeper didn't follow, but Lin Yin did. Tang Bai was also brought along by Tangwa. Tang Bai refused at first, but Tangwa said that she wanted to broaden her horizons. She couldn't refuse, so she agreed. Tang Bai's current skills were already very good. In order to practice martial arts, she basked in the sun every day and became much darker. In addition to the carriage, they also pulled many items produced by the embroidery shop. They were all for the emperor. Most of them were cloth and some rouge and powder embroidered handkerchiefs. When they stepped into the capital again, Tang Bai looked at the bustling city and was a little stunned. The peak. Chapter 1925. After sitting in the carriage for so many days, Tang Bai's face, which had been tanned with great difficulty, had become rosy again. The little girl was so tender that she attracted people's attention at first glance. She only had to lift the curtain of the carriage to attract people outside. Tang Bai reacted and quickly put the carriage down. When they arrived at Gu Jusi's house, they settled Tang Bai inside and asked Lin Yin to take care of her. Tangwa and Gu Jusi took the goods to the palace to see the emperor. Because of the medical books that Tangwa gave him, the emperor looked very energetic. However, his face was still a little pale. At that moment, Tangwa seemed to have noticed something. System Tangwa, just pretend that you didn't see it, lest he thinks too much. Of course, the emperor didn't put on any rouge or powder. It should be made by the imperial physician. When he saw Tangwa, he subconsciously showed a thoughtful expression. He wanted to find out what was going on. Then, Gu Jusi said, "Second brother, I'm here to see you." Then, the emperor hurriedly put away his thoughtful expression and coughed lightly. "Little Jiao, you finally came back with your princess consort?" "Yes, I didn't come back to see second brother. It's my fault." Gua prepared many gifts for second brother. When the emperor heard about the gifts, he became energetic. When he saw the exquisite cloth, he smiled. He was also very satisfied with the rouge, powder, and embroidered handkerchiefs. He had many beauties in his harem. They would be very happy to give these to them. He would never mistreat obedient beauties. As long as they were obedient, he would take pity on them. Perhaps it was because of his experience. As long as they didn't have bad intentions and wanted to sway him, he was very good to them. Even if he didn't have any extra feelings, he wouldn't mistreat them. The emperor and Gu Jusi ate. Of course, in the middle of the meal, there were many times when his gaze fell on Tangwa, and he showed a thoughtful expression. Then, he would be interrupted by Gu Jusi, which made him smile awkwardly. Tangwa pretended that she didn't know anything. Tang Chongqing was also called in by the emperor. This meal was quite pleasant. Being with the emperor was indeed not as comfortable as being with Gu Ronghe. Before leaving the imperial palace, the emperor bestowed many good things to Tangwa. He also told her to take good care of Gu Jusi and not bully him. Tangwa, second brother Jin, did he really think that his younger brother was going to marry her? All right, you could say that. After the two of them left, the emperor subconsciously shouted, "Guards! Your Majesty, what are your orders?" The emperor said, "You, go and investigate." At this point, the emperor paused and patted his forehead in annoyance. "Go back. It's fine now." He almost ordered his men to investigate Tangwa's background. "I really don't want to go out," Tang Bai said. Lin Yin frowned. "No, Madam told me to take you out for a walk and buy things for you." Tang Bai, let's go. I'll carry out Madam's orders. You can shop for as long as you want. You can buy whatever you want. I'll carry it for you." Tang Bai was a little helpless. These were also orders from Big Sister? Yes. Lin Yin nodded very seriously. Peek. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.